finished Elliot a pillow. I've never made a pillow before. I've never made a smiley face before. I know it's wonky, but it's from the heart. That's all that matters. He said he loves it, and he's so excited to be able to play with it or whatever he's gonna do. Sleep on it? I don't think so, but... I've managed to go 4 hours approximately without crying at all, so that's a big accomplishment. Dude, the crazy unhinged stalker people from Reddit are trying to like kick me while I'm down. It's not gonna work because that's just not gonna work on me, but they're using all the people that are wishing me condolences on the TikTok I put up about my friend dying. They're using that as an opportunity to go follow from the slander accounts every single person who has liked or commented on that post. There's a lot of comments on there, so I can't fathom taking the time and logging into a fake account, then going to all these people's pages and clicking follow, logging into another account, doing it all over again. Like, girl, you need a hobby so bad. And like, I can't imagine how successful you guys would be if you actually weren't sociopaths, so people were like wanted to be in your presence and you weren't like stuck on the internet all the time, and that's the only place you can meet friends is in stalker snark groups, because that's like who you are to the core. And it's so toxic and it's so miserable. You don't have to be like that. You can choose to not do the sociopathic behavior patterns that make people like not want to be around you. You could choose not to be like that. She's following from the slander accounts. She's following every single person who commented on my post from all 3 of the slander accounts that she has or that she's utilizing currently. I've gotten probably like 8 DMs already about it. Hey, this account is following me. What should I do? I told them, do the same thing you would do as if one of those, you know, those tarot reader, every time you follow a tarot reader or anyone even remotely like alternative, immediately you get followed by like 5 accounts that are like trying to get you to buy a tarot reading or something, you know? I said, just treat them like that. Like, because that's pretty much what it is, you know? It's just scam bullshit. In one of the screenshots, apparently on the Lean Into the Cringe slander account, there's a thing that says home wrecker. So apparently she's got some narrative of how I'm wrecking homes somehow, even though I don't date. I haven't slept with anybody in years. I have no desire to date anyone. And I definitely would never, and I never have in my entire life. Even when I was a little bit slutty, I never slept with a married man. I've never. It's just like, what is I don't want to fucking go through all that trouble of trying to sneak around. Like, what are you doing? That's not fun. That's annoying. If you're my boyfriend, I want to post about you on Facebook. I'm not going to be someone's side chick. Like, I've never done that. I know it's so much effort. Most people don't look to see who follows them. That's the funny part, Easy Life. Like, anyone who creates content themselves, especially, because we're getting so many follows on a daily basis, like, I never look at who follows me. And honest to God, I could let me see right now. I have so many Facebook friend requests. I didn't even know I had this many until like the other day. Someone that I wanted to try to follow exchange or whatever with. Hold on, how do I find this? I don't know how to use Facebook anymore. friends requests. There it is. I have, oops, see all. How do you see all? I don't really like all these people. I couldn't even believe it. It's like fucking 1,000 or so Facebook friend requests. I have more friend requests than I have people following me or friending me on Facebook. Oh, I thought it ended for a second. Oh, nope. Look at this. Okay, there's the end of it. 4 years ago. 4 years ago was when I stopped paying attention. But it's just like, the only reason I'm talking about it is because it just shows you even more the type of person that these people are. Like, you know, arguably though, one of the worst things that, you know, has ever happened to me just happened, you know? And if I was anybody else, like, this is the type of shit they do to everybody. I'm not special, okay? I'm not special, and I don't think I am. The tactics that they use, it's tactics that are common amongst these individuals in the snark pages and whatever, right? So, like, it kind of breaks my heart to imagine, like, if I was anyone else, anyone who wasn't, like, I guess, hardened of the heart in that way, like, they can't hurt me. Nothing they can ever do will ever hurt me, because I am one of God's favorites, because I'm a good person. If anything happens to me, it's not going to be because of anything they have done. It's going to be circumstance or accident or, you know, shit like that. It's not going to be at their hand. They're just like bored housewives with no fucking hobby, you know? And you could be a bored housewife and still be a good person. Like, you don't have to just be so miserable and like you hate, like, dude, bro, this situation that happened earlier today, with that girl that I used to be friends with, and then I found out she was on the Reddit after we hadn't talked. I just stopped talking to her because I just didn't want to be around her anymore. So, you know, I just stopped reaching out and stopped answering messages if they came through or whatever. And I don't think she like chased me or anything like that, but we just stopped talking. I just stopped talking to her and I stopped hanging out with her. And like years have gone by, like 5 years have gone by. And then I find out that she's in the Reddit talking shit about me. And I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? So then, you know, I was like, okay, whatever, let her do her thing. I told her, hey, I saw what you said, that's fucked up. And then I deleted her as a friend on Facebook. And I was like, dude, not going to give you access to me. And so then when she started popping up in my live stream on TikTok, on my second account, like every single live stream, there she is. And I'm like, dude, this is getting weird. Like, okay, like, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to get my attention or whatever? And so Facebook or TikTok, when you go live, if anybody has the ability to go live themselves, when they enter your chat, it shows you only a thing that says invite so-and-so to go live with you. It doesn't show like so-and-so joined the chat and then you can click on their name. If I click on anything in that little bar, it invites them to chat immediately. So I couldn't just block her. It took a little bit for me to be able to block her. I even told my mods about it and I was like, hey, listen, if this girl shows up again, I want her to get blocked. So like, it was something that was 100% on our mind. We were thinking about and ready to do. So I saw her and I had the opportunity to do so. So I fucking blocked her. And when I blocked her, I just said, dude, this chick keeps coming in my chat. I said literally the truth. And that I said that, you know, she called me a name, whatever. This woman is literally, I mean, dude, you couldn't imagine from thin air a more Reddit snark type person. This is a person who exaggerates. Do you want to go outside? Exaggerates disabilities. This is a person who does the most for attention from her husband or whomever. Come on. This is someone who has a fucking on and off, substance issue, but is also on, medications for whatever, for psychotropic needs and all this jazz, and but also takes vacations and sneaks around and does things behind her husband's back, and it's just totally the type of. As soon as I fucking saw her in that Reddit, I was just like, dude, that, and I knew then at that moment like who these types of people are. They're childless, liberal, feminazis, and they are empty nesters or housewives with no fucking hobbies, with no productive hobbies of their own. Or they just can never be happy with anything that they have, even if they do have some hobbies here and there. I don't understand it. It's so much effort. I just don't understand it. I know you said that a while ago, and I already responded to it, but yes, I don't understand it. It's so much effort. It takes, and it just goes like in general, it takes so much more effort to be an asshole and to be like rude and mean than it does to be nice, like actually. I genuinely don't understand it. These people have nothing of their own to be happy about. Nothing is good enough for them. Doesn't matter if their husband literally pays for everything and takes care of them and fucking makes sure that their son always has everything he needs. Doesn't matter. Miserable. It's not good enough. He's not hot enough. She wants a hotter guy. What are you thinking, man? Dude, go away, dude. Go land on the flypaper over there. Fucking mosquitoes are starting to come out. So I found this really cool pattern for socks. And you like make the socks in this shape, and then you come up here and you make a bar for your ankle or whatever. But so it's literally like the heel that you do here makes that you sew these parts together, and then you have like literally the heel, and then the foot part, you come up here and then you narrow it down for the toe, and then then it's narrowest right here, and then you keep going and you make another foot shape, and then you add the ankle part, and the ankle part wraps around like this at the end, and then the other part connects to the toe, and you have a seam right here and two seams right here, and that's it. And it's so stinking cool. I'm really excited about it. So I'm making a pair of socks. I think I'm gonna give them to Elliot. We'll see what happens. But they're pretty neat. And I have just found this really, really nice alpaca yarn that's been hand dyed. It's an alpaca wool blend, and it was hand dyed, and it's like really stretchy. It's like the perfect yarn for what I'm doing right now, and it's skinny, so it won't make the socks super bulky, which is awesome. And because it's actually wool, it will felt as they're worn, or I could even like kind of try to felt them a little bit, which I think I'm making them a little bit big so that when they felt, they can shrink a little bit, but I'm gonna end up blocking it. I have the blocking mats and I have pins and everything I need to do it, so I'm just gonna have to spray them with some water and vinegar and then let it dry. Yeah, I can't imagine though, like being this awful to somebody that's not as like emotionally tough as I am. Like I'm the kind of person that will cry at videos watching soldiers return home to their dogs. I'm a softie, and I will cry at anything that it seems emotional like that. But like, I am secure in myself. Like, I know who I am. I know my heart, and my heart, I know it is pure. So you can never take that away from me. You can't ever, no matter what you try to do to harm me, I'll be like Job in the Bible. Like, lay it on. It's not going to make me turn into you. There's nothing you can do to make me turn into a toxic, manipulative, online troll type individual. There's nothing you can do. And you can't stop me from having a wonderful time. Literally, no matter where I am, I'm going to be happy because I can make myself happy. I don't need anybody to make me happy. I don't need anyone's approval to be happy. I have my own approval. And my son and my ex-husband fucking love the shit out of me, and they think I'm awesome. And that's literally all that matters to me. I'm even including my ex-husband in this because he's really come around a lot lately, especially lately. But in the last like 5 years, when we first separated, it was so bad. And I just was like, I don't know how to make him see that I'm none of these things that he's accusing me of, you know? But I was able to. It took a long time. It took like 3 years. But eventually he realized, like, oh, she's not like playing the games back. Like, this is no fun. Like, I'm not having fun with these games because I just look like an asshole because I'm over here doing it all. She's not playing into my hand. And that's just how it works. I'm not going to allow anybody to drag me to their level. I'm better than that. I'm over here doing my damnedest every single day to try to, you know, get others to raise themselves up. It really isn't that hard to be nice, really. If you just stop and think about what your first gut knee-jerk reaction is to think something terrible about someone, or like assume someone's thinking something that they're not, or whatever. Like, if you just stop and actually give it like 2 minutes of actual logical reasoning, you'd realize that that's just not the way people think. And that's like, people aren't just walking around thinking bad thoughts about you, even if you have bad thoughts about yourself. People don't operate like that. People are mostly good. You know, there are bad apples, but by and large, people are mostly good. And I have absolute faith that if I just continue to be who I know myself to be, I stay true to myself, I stay true to my boy, I hold my morals and my integrity, and I don't compromise them for any reason, that those who are meant to see will see, and those who are not meant to see will not ever see. There's not going to be any convincing. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to do my thing, one way or the other. I'm not going to do anything because I think somebody's going to react one way or another either. That's another thing that people do a lot, is they will react to the thoughts and judgment of others and alter what it is that they intended to do because of a comment or a thought from someone else. And I will never do that.
I think it's fair to say that this new generation of young kids are not all right. But hey, at least they're outside, right? As, of course, my friend Tim Pool just made a very interesting argument about a major economic and social shift happening right now because there's no new young generation out there, as his warnings, I think, are absolutely important to look into. in a very critical way, as of course I have some things that I disagree with him about, some things that I agree with him about, and then I'm going to take everything being discussed here, and then we're going to go further down the rabbit hole and talk about the ongoing eugenics depopulation agenda, which I have been warning about and screaming about and pulling my hair about for the last 20 years. And if you don't realize it's happening, you're probably already a victim of it and don't realize it. We're going to get in there nice and deep. And if you appreciate those type of endeavors, definitely on his show.
We are in for a collapse, by which most people can't recognize. Every year you will notice it more and more. There's going to be nobody to make your cheeseburger, bro. And a Gen Xer in their 50s, half of whom own homes, they're not going to want to go work at a burger joint. So who's going to make the burger? A robot?
Yep, beat bar, because that's a part of the plan of what's been going on here. If you read,
that's why I will not let my kiddo have social medias
books that he was putting out there, as he was David Rockefeller's right-hand man who was engineering this kind of larger social, technocratic, live forever, advanced type of science fiction lore. You could see it as kind of a blueprint. And I think that's how I've personally seen it. And when we look at everything that's kind of happening here, it's important to understand here, yes, in my opinion, there is absolutely a depopulation agenda ongoing right now. It is prevalent, it is in our face, and there's no ignoring it. And the consequences of it will be very vast and severe for the vast majority of humanity, except for the people who control the means of production, which ever so will be getting into smaller and smaller hands. We're not talking about just big people with small hands. I'm talking about smaller and smaller amount of individuals that will have more power, more control over a vast majority of the things in our life, as of course we are creating superhumans that want to live forever and might have already gotten the tech already here, as we have this article here from tradersunion.com talking about Tim Pool warns of economic impact from generational shift. And yeah, that's one thing that's happening here. And when we look at the reproduction rates, when we look at the population levels, Western world civilizations down dramatically. Sub-Saharan Africa booming. Oh, interesting how that's kind of happening here, as even population decline is happening in places like India, in China. All of the models, just like the climate change models that we were lectured on in the early 2000s about how, oh no, the water, the tides, they're going to come on in and we're going to flood all the cities. All those are wrong. But those same people were saying, no, the population is going to be too big. We got to stop it immediately. We got to do everything we can. Bill Gates came out, like, we got to give people the procedure, stop the population growth. Population growth has gone down very dramatically. And far more dramatically than a lot of people realize, especially after a lot of people were extorted to take one particular shot here. Huh? What a coincidence! What a coincidence there! Huh? Strange how, of course, that is happening here. Now, here I want to disagree with Tim a little bit about. He says every year you will notice it more and more. There are less people, less workers, less businesses, less views, less sales. Yeah, and this is going to be rapidly accelerating the more we go on. Now, some people would argue it's going to be not really significant immediately. It's going to be like a frog kind of boiling, right? And eventually people are like, oh, wow, yeah, we're kind of boiling in here. Before they put us in the pot, I was screaming 20 years ago, hey, there's a pot here. They're going to light it. And they're like, shut up, conspiracy theorists, shut up. And I'm like, no. The people who listen to me and all the stuff that we were telling you and warning you about and telling you not to do on lukeandfilter.com, you're welcome. You're very welcome. You know, we were ahead of the curve there a little bit, especially with our video with David Icke, where me and him literally came out and said, oh, they're going to genetically engineer this type of sickness. Oh, they're going to lock you down. They're going to prevent you from traveling. They're going to reverse procedure. And YouTube took that video down, by the way, because they said it violated COOF health policies. But the problem was, though.
All right, loves. Today we are doing a video that I have mentioned I want to do like a million times, but I'm actually finally getting around to it. And that is another episode of me finishing my abandoned crochet and knit projects. For the record, I'm actually very good about finishing my projects. Okay, I did one of these last year, but now that it's been a year, I've accumulated a small pile of things that have fallen by the wayside. See, last time I showed you all the projects at the beginning, no spoilers. We're gonna go one by one. Sorry, QB. This is the top that I was actually making while I was in Europe, and I did vlog the entire process of me knitting this little mohair halter, but that footage has been lost because my luggage was lost, and then I separately lost my camera. It's a very long story. Maybe I'll tell you later in this video because we don't have time right now. But basically I was inspired by this halter I saw on Pinterest. It was like a white mohair halter, and the part that goes around the neck is kind of long so that it like wraps around like a scarf, but I feel like you could also tie it in a bow in the back. I'm like basically almost done. Like I'm working on the long part that goes around the neck. I just need to do a few more rows and cast off. Well, the top isn't even done yet, but I feel like when it is done, a lot of people are gonna ask for a pattern for this. The only thing is like I constructed it, like I can make things very simple because I have no boobs. I'm shaped like a board. So I didn't do like any shaping around the bust, but if I were to like size braid this pattern, I obviously need to add volume here without like adding volume on the sides. And I was looking up how you do that. Oh, that reminds me actually, the sponsor of our video today is Craftsy. I mentioned them before, a really amazing community and resource for crafters. So they have over 2,000 courses and like crocheting and knitting obviously, but also woodworking, cake decorating, beading. And I know there are a lot of free crochet and knit resources online, but the thing is these courses really teach you like techniques, not just specific stitches. So for example, I just looked up shaping and I found a course specifically on how to like do bust shaping in your garments. You use this technique called short rows, and then I watched the Essential Short Rows course that goes through like all the different kinds of short rows and when to use them. And it's just not the kind of stuff that you would find for free like on YouTube. They also have a lot of cool inspo. I was looking through their knitting courses. They have this Entrelac knitting one. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I actually saw a garment that looked like this in Mexico City, and I was like, how do you do this? It's like woven. You probably saw I did like freeform crochet when I was in Mexico City. They have this stacked knitting course, which is like the knitting version, which I didn't even know was possible. So if you want to give Craftsy a try, you're in luck. The first 1,000 people to click on the link in my description down below get a full year of premium membership for only $1.49. It's for new members only, but it's such a steal. You get a bunch of free courses, patterns, and it's just great for like staying inspired and continuing to level up your knitting or crochet skills. Okay, honestly, I'm almost done with this top, so maybe I'll show you one more project. This is actually, like, I laughed when I found it. It's my cupcake ruffle top. Like, my initial cupcake ruffle skirt was this little pink yarn combo, and I started making the matching top. I have patterns for both the top and the bottom, and it's like basically done. All I have to do is add the straps and the ties, and I don't know why I abandoned it when it was like 95% done. I do think I don't have that much of this yarn left. Maybe I'll do the straps in this like thick dark pink yarn, but I kind of want to make little I-cord bows using this lighter pink mohair, and then use those bows to like attach these two sides, because I feel like that looks more polished than just using a chain, which is what I did with the other top. So yeah, both of these are like almost done. I'm about to head out and meet up with Meg for dinner and go to a Fui event with my friend Crystal, who's also my nail tech. Oh, and if you were curious about my top, I don't know if anyone was, you guys know I love these little Chinese buttons. I use them on that Chinese top that I knit in China. I got a bunch of really beautiful ones on eBay. I also got this like men's button up on eBay, and I just removed the buttons and then added these. And then I also added, I don't know if you can see, I added like 2 buttons in the back as well to cinch in all this fabric, and that's kind of what gives it this shape. Like really easy, like 30-minute upcycle that only requires some basic hand sewing.
Please go away. God, windows being open in the summer sucks.
You look so beautiful.
So supposed to have screens
in my
here.
life. I'll give you a few options.
best drink in the whole world. I drink at least, I want to say,
H has taken so much of your money.
upwards of 60 of these. Look at the camera.
Okay, I have an idea.
I really
like,
want
for
that top.
example, I have this gold ring that's way too big for me. So what if, let me see if I can do this without like flashing you guys. Wait, are we seeing the vision here, guys? I feel like the shape of this is instantly a lot better. And honestly, the
I
little
want that
touch
top.
of gold is kind of cute. Here's my thing though. I feel like if I had this little like embellishment in the front, then having, well, I haven't tied the bow yet. Let me do that really quickly. This is not a good bow, but do you not feel like having this gold in the front and then having the bow in the back is kind of like a lot? Also, I know I said I wanted to be able to like wear this as a skinny scarf as well, but like, look how fucking stupid that looks. I don't know, I'm kind of abandoning the skinny scarf. With this in the front, I wish this just closed, like clean in the back and there was nothing else going on. I guess I could just leave it like this without tying the bow, but I feel like that also looks kind of stupid. I also wish this was like a little bit bigger. I feel like it's cinching just too much. You can see how this is like kind of crinkling. What would be perfect is if I had those like little cuffs that people put around their ponytails. Wait, oh, actually, one second. I do have this little like hair piece. You like put the chopstick in to hold it in place. Why is that kind of cool? Like, why is that kind of giving? See, but again, like, I think this is cool. I mean, I'd prefer if I did this with like a black halter, but with this, I then feel like having this tail in the back, there's like too much going on. This is so clean and this is so like the fuck. Here's what I'm thinking. Maybe I will just put like a few stitches in, maybe I'll safety pin this for now to demonstrate. I didn't do an amazing job, but you can see like this cinches it in without any embellishment. This with the bow is not too much, right? Because now like the front is plain, and then you have this like fun little bow detail. Also, I shouldn't really have made this with mohair. I just like love mohair, but this would make a lot more sense in cotton because it's obviously a summer top and this is like a warmer textile. What this would look really cool in is actually like a slubby cotton. Like a cotton where it's like the width is not the same throughout, you know what I'm talking about? I feel like that would look so sick. I also feel like now that I've cinched this, like why is this so wide? And since I'm not gonna wear this as a skinny scarf, like at most do this like wrap around and tie it here. But now I feel like this part's a little bit too wide almost. This is kind of cute, actually. I'm gonna undo this and take just like a row or two off this part because I feel like here, like let me fold this down, like I feel like that looks better, and then also the bow won't be quite as like, I think this is going in a good direction though. I think I like it. Also, I wore these shorts for like legit like 2 seconds of one of my YouTube shorts where I was yarn shopping in Portugal. And I got comments on like all my platforms about them. Everyone's like, I love your shorts. And I was like, I mean, I do too, but I didn't expect anyone to notice them. They're from Etika. I'll link them down below. I actually love them. Like they're like the perfect summer staple. I'm gonna take my hair down because that honestly looks stupid. There's so much of like me almost flashing you going on right now. Why did I make it so small? I think because okay, my bracelet is attached to my top. The first one that I made, like the blue and white one, was a little bit big. So I was like, okay, let me make sure this one is not too big. But now I feel like it's low-key too small. You know, like this is weird. It's supposed to like have some looseness to it. Okay, so you can see I knit this little I-cord bow to tie this up in the front. Wait, actually, that's really cute. Sorry, I haven't tried it yet. And I was gonna do more, like in my original design, I have it tying up at like every ruffle, but I think because this one's kind of tight, I almost like it being open like this more. But the other thing I realized, those like pink buttons that I used on the button up, the Chinese ones, so where are they? These ones, they're like actually a really good color match for the pink mohair. But see, now that I have it on, I feel like it looks kind of random. Like, I feel like the ruffle plus the Chinese button is a lot, so maybe screw that idea. I guess for this, all I have to do is weave in the ends, huh? I should try it on with the matching skirt, but it's like somewhere under my bed, and I don't want to dig it out right now. But once I weave in the ends, I will try this on for you with the matching skirt. Also, I just realized the green top, I have this gorgeous, like, green Cezanne hair tie that almost looks like jade. It's like a flower, and okay, I have just realized that that flower was in my bag of hair accessories, which was stolen from my suitcase. And you're probably wondering what's going on with stuff being stolen from my suitcase. It's all part of the greater story that I don't feel emotionally prepared to tell right now, but I'll tell you later once I've processed the loss a little more. Okay, but our next unfinished project is this crochet dress that I made when I was in Bali. And I originally wanted to make it long. I was like inspired by this photo I always see on Pinterest. And then I ran out of yarn, or I didn't bring enough yarn to Bali, but I also don't think I had enough here. So I ordered more. It's like the Friends Cotton 8/6 and eucalyptus. I feel like it's often sold out because it's such a pretty color. Reminder that I have hobby commission links. So if you're ever buying yarn from there, please use one of my links. I'm just gonna like literally add length all the way to like maybe the ankle. And I already made it pretty wide, so I don't even know if I need to like add a slit. A lot of people were like, oh, keep it short, keep it short. A, I've worn it short a few times, so I kind of feel like I've experienced that experience. B, it's like a little bit too short. Like it like barely covers the cheeks. So either way, I need to add some length to it. And I like the long one more. Like, I feel like it's more my style. I actually don't even remember how I made this. I need to look at it, but I'm literally just gonna do the same stitch all the way down. I don't think I'm gonna add any width. So this is a very straightforward, easy one. My friends and I are gonna go to Red Hook, which is like a neighborhood further in Brooklyn. So I am gonna change out of this situation. The thing is with this like little bow is this so tight that I can't take it off without untying the bow? Okay, confirmed. You can take this top off without untying the bow, so that's good. And look how cute this little tank is. It has like a matching...
Oh my god, I feel like I'm getting dumber.
Year or so, I've been working to improve my space, make it more of a vibe, as it were. Last summer, I started putting together this gallery wall, which I just recently finished. I made this faux stained glass lamp that I'm really proud of, and I put up this little shelf that you can't see right now, it's out of shot, but it's a cute little shelf with little things on it, and I like it a lot. But in between these two lovely vignettes, there's two, I promise, you just can't see the other one. There's this blank wall, dazzling shade of Arctic flower that I insisted on painting this room when I was 11, when I got the bigger bedroom when my older brother moved out. So I have a plan to cover this barren wasteland of middle school paint color choices with a tapestry. A lovely medieval-inspired tapestry. Unfortunately, I do not own a loom yet. So it's not going to be an actual, real woven tapestry. However, there is a very well-known example of a historical tapestry that is not a woven tapestry. It's actually an embroidery. It's the Bayeux tapestry. I'm fairly certain I'm pronouncing it correctly if it's not pronounced Bayeux. I'm sorry to the French.
Bayou.
But it's this really well-known French tapestry. It uses the Bayeux stitch, named after the tapestry, which is kind of like a cross between a satin stitch and couching. And it's notable because it uses very little thread on the back of the fabric, so you're conserving yarn, which is important for the Bayou tapestry because it's freaking long. I didn't realize that until I found the museum's website, which was very helpful. I'll link that below. So, in today's video, I will be making a medieval-inspired tapestry using some perhaps unconventional materials. I have already purchased some stuff. I have, don't mind me, a curtain rod from the hardware store. I have also purchased a very large embroidery hoop. It's actually for quilting, and drop cloth. So these are the materials and supplies that I've purchased so far. Let's talk a bit about my design. My design was mainly inspired by the Scandinavian folktale of the Prince Lindworm. In this story, there's this queen who wants to have a baby, so she eats some magic roses, and they make her give birth to a lindworm, which is a dragon-adjacent giant serpent thing. The lindworm slithers off into the night and is out of the kingdom until the queen's human son tries to get married, and the lindworm is like, "Nuh-uh, I'm the firstborn, I should get married first." So the king finds him a suitably noble-born bride. They get married, but then he eats her, so the king finds him another bride, but then he eats her too. So then the king forces a peasant girl to marry the lindworm, but she goes and talks to a witch who tells her what to do. So on the wedding night, the girl wears 10 dresses, and when the lindworm tells her to remove her dress so he can eat her, she tells him that he has to shed a skin first. So he does, and she takes off the dress, but she's still got the 9 bonus dresses. So they repeat this until the lindworm has shed 10 skins and is all weakened. Then the girl hits him with a whip, dipped in lye, then pours milk on him, and then hugs him, and this turns him into a human. Somehow. And then everyone lives happily ever after, except for those 2 ladies that got eaten in the end. It's a much nicer story when you're not trying to tell it in under 30 seconds. It's actually very sweet, and it has that very familiar fairy tale structure, but also the randomness you see in a lot of folktales, and I just find that really fascinating. And it's referenced in The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, which I just finished rereading at the time when I had the idea to make this, so you could think of this as hand-embroidered fan art that I'm going to hang over my bed. You could think of it like that. The story also has a ton of imagery that works really well with the motifs I was seeing in a lot of my references. So for my design, I wanted to have the lindworm and the peasant girl, of course, and I have them kind of in the midst of the turning him human process. So she's got the multiple dresses shedding off of her, and he's still a giant lady-eating serpent, but he's being chill about it. For the ladies' design, I took inspiration from pre-Raphaelite art, which itself is inspired a lot by medieval art. I was also, of course, inspired by actual medieval tapestries. I included a border of roses and vines to reference the roses that the queen eats. Most of the historical references I looked at were very flat in that there's no background and that all the figures are standing on the same plane. Coincidentally, this is also a lot easier to draw, so I chose to emulate that kind of style. Some of them also have these like floating flowers growing out of a field of green that I really liked the look of, so I incorporated those in as well. When I was preparing my notes for this video, I knew I wanted to mention pre-Raphaelites as a source of inspiration, so I wanted to do just a little bit of research to make sure I was getting things correct, and I ended up going down a Wikipedia rabbit hole, and I started reading about William Morris, who is an artist that I love, and then I started reading about his wife Jane Morris, who was a model for a number of different pre-Raphaelite painters and artists. So if you've ever thought, wow, a lot of the ladies in these paintings look the same, it's because half of them are the same person. They're all Jane Morris. I also found out that Jane Morris was an embroidery artist, and so was her sister, Bessie Burden, and they both worked on these embroidered panels designed by William Morris that were inspired by Chaucer's Legend of Good Women, and their depictions of different, like, famous historical and mythological women. And I am obsessed with these, and they're really similar to my design, which is just from us pulling from the same influences and sources, which is cool. So then I started reading about Jane's sister, Bessie Burden, and she was actually a teacher at the Royal School of Needlework in the 1870s, and there's actually a stitch named after her in the school's official handbook from 1880, and it's a part of their online stitch bank that's still available today. I'll link that below. But I got like genuinely emotional reading about Jane and Bessie, who were these women who were involved in one of my favorite art movements from my favorite period of history that I had never heard of. And they made these pieces that are so similar to my own. And Bessie worked for this institution that was dedicated to preserving the art of needlework that still exists today and is a resource that I can use to learn more and improve my own skills. I wish I'd known about this a year ago when I started this project, but it's still really cool to learn about it now. We are all threads woven into the tapestry of the world. Or embroidered into it. Anyway, now that I have my design all figured out, I can transfer it onto the canvas.
Man, having parents must have been so cool. Can't even imagine like all the stuff I could have achieved if I had
Next,
like
I measured and cut my fabric, hemmed the edges, and added a channel at the top for the curtain rod.
Pay for things.
I added some holes to this channel so I could support the center of the rod with hooks when I hang it up. I ended up ripping open this channel so I can embroider that area without worrying about sewing it shut, but it'll come back in the end. It's tracing time, so I've got this hung up very jankily. One end is balanced on the edge of an open drawer on my dresser. The other end is on my bed, on a little side table, on a box. I've got both ends weighted down with sandbags. I've got the printout haphazardly taped and pinned to the back, and I'm aware the lighting in the shot is not very good, but it's because I have all of my desk lamps turned on, pointed to here. I'm just gonna use Sharpies to mark this out because it's going to get painted over and then embroidered over, so you're not going to see it, hopefully. So I'm going to turn off all the overhead lights to make this shot even more backlit and get tracing. Next came the painting. I wanted to paint the canvas to match the color of the yarn that would be going in each area, so if there were any gaps in my embroidery, it wouldn't be quite so noticeable. I started painting at my desk, and then quickly realized I needed a little more room. Okay, so I'm really overpainting this thing. You can tell because I started over here and I kind of worked my way up and around, and you can see the difference in my attention to detail. I think I'm gonna embroider the whole background, which I know is more work than just painting it, but it's work I would prefer to do. I can do the embroidery sitting in a chair instead of like crouching on the floor trying to paint this. It is kind of irritating because I came to that decision partway through, so this darker section is not watered down paint, so it's going to be difficult to get a needle through that area, but them's the breaks. All we can do is keep moving forward. I still got all this left to paint. So yeah, I'm gonna check back in when the rest of this is all painted, which will probably be another 6 weeks. So see you then. With the painting done, I could finally start actually embroidering. I think for the embroidery, I'm gonna go color by color and do like all the white, all the pink, all the yellow, all the red. I'm gonna start with the white so I can cover up this rose in the corner that I started to paint red and then realized was supposed to be white. And it bothers me, so I'm gonna fix it and cover it up. So let's get stitching. Okay, I finished one rose. This took 45 minutes. I think I'm just gonna buckle down and work on this for the rest of the night. And we'll see how far we get. I'll see how many weeks this takes me.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
So it's the next day. Been working on this for a little while. I know I said yesterday I was going to do all of one color over the whole thing. Immediately went back on that. I needed to see more immediate progress to feel more motivated. So I switched.
Okay, she
to
slept
working
a
on
lot.
the norm
She went
stuff,
outside and
because it's
played.
A larger area. And
She's
you
able
can
to jump up,
a bit quicker.
you
I
know,
also
to her
switched
spot,
to a different
so
needle when I was using
you know
it.
she's able to get around, which is so important.
Has a bigger eye, but the end is blunt, so it's easier to thread, but it's difficult to get through the fabric. So I've switched to a different one that has much smaller eye, but the end is pointed. I also haven't been using the Bayou stitch like I talked about in my planning section, because I haven't done any really big segments like this. I don't feel I need the couching to hold that down, but once I get to like this stuff where it's like that long, I think that's when the Bayou stitch is going to be very helpful. I did want to say thank you to all the people who have subscribed to my channel so far.
I need to look.
I think right now as I'm filming up here, then once I have my next full rows completed, following those steps, I will be back. And then we are going to be doing the front of the sock. Just place your foot right on top of it. And then this is going to fold just on top of it, just like this. It should cover basically your toes, just like so. Filming this, there's about 200 people, I think it's like 230 something, which I know in like the grand scheme of everything on the internet, that's not like a huge number, but like the way I think of it, like that's more people than were in the biggest lecture classes I ever took in college. And that was a lot of people. If all of you were all sitting in a room and I had to sit in front of you and talk about stuff, I'd throw up. I would throw up in front of you. So thank God you're not all in my room. And that's how you can tell I filmed this a year ago. There are now about 4,000 of you guys subscribed to this channel, so I'm even more glad you're not all in the room watching me embroider. That would get a little too cozy, I think. But seriously, thank you all for sticking around and watching me work on my weird little projects. It blows my mind that anyone would want to spend their free time watching me yap about folklore and embroidery, let alone this many of you. So truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all. And if you're not subscribed, but you would like to see more of stuff like this from me, probably not more embroidery anytime soon. My fingers are still recovering, but other fun, crafty projects, consider subscribing. I would love to have you. Once my work had been thoroughly inspected, I was cleared to continue with the embroidery. I totally just breezed through like 3 months of work. Most of it was very repetitive, but I will go into a little more detail on a few things. Like the lady's face. I stitched and restitched it multiple times to get it right. The first attempt did not look correct. I was trying to emulate the subtleties of the faces in my references while still maintaining a more modern, kind of cartoony style. I really liked the final result, so I'm glad I took the time to try and get it just right. For her clothing, I wanted to capture the texture of the cloth in the embroidery, so I made my stitches follow the way the fabric would fold if it were crumpled on the ground like this. I used big chain stitches to create the shape of the creases. I used chain stitches for other details too, like the petals on the phlox and marigold flowers, though I think these are more like lazy daisy stitches. I also used a chain stitch for the vines around the border to get a heavy, continuous line. This looked really great, but I found it was difficult to work on my embroidery hoop since it was so close to the edge. The solution to this was to upgrade my frame game.
Yarn
I decided to try and build an embroidery scroll frame out of PVC pipe. Here's a quick breakdown. I used 8 90-degree L joints, 4 T joints, and 14 PVC pipes cut to the lengths shown on screen. I assembled them as shown in this diagram and used PVC glue on most of the connection points. I didn't glue the 2 longest pipes so I could break down the frame for easier storage. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this design since it was very wobbly, it was hard to get good tension, it fell apart a few times when I was using it, but it did get me to the end of this project and it used mostly materials that I had on hand. So, follow at your own risk. I didn't film any of the process of building the frame because it was simultaneously very stressful and not that interesting. I basically just cut the pipes and glued them together, but the glue and the glue primer were just very annoying to work with, and I was using a chop saw for the first time, which I did not enjoy. Very big, very scary, was worried about my thumbs the whole time, so no footage of that, but after a little quality assurance inspection, I was able to set up my canvas in the frame. To set up the fabric on the frame, I wrapped it around the 2 long horizontal pipes and clamped them in place. I secured the short ends by stitching the edges of the fabric to the frame with lace-weight cotton crochet thread. Later on, I figured out I could lace rope around the handles of the clamps so I could force them to pull the fabric in tighter and create more tension in the fabric to make it a little bit easier to work with. By August, I had basically stopped working on the tapestry. The frame became another horizontal surface for me to put stuff on, and it was just taking up space in my room. So I disassembled the frame and packed away the tapestry so I could focus on other things for a little while.
How do people edit like this in their freaking room? I don't get it. I bet their parents got them a laptop.
I don't think I'm in frame. So it's February of 2025. I think the last time I worked on this was October? September? I genuinely don't remember. So I want to start working on this again. It's been a while. I'm in the mood for embroidery again. So from what I remember, there were a bunch of roses and stuff along the border that I needed to work on. And I think I'm gonna do those in the hoop instead of putting it in the, ow. And I think I'm gonna do those in the embroidery hoop instead of the frame. Just to have the frame up for as little as possible because it takes up so much space, and then be able to do just the background in the frame, which should go quicker. So I guess I need to unroll it now. Let's do that. Did I not finish the flowers? I thought I finished those. What the heck? Oh no, there's more than I thought. had finished all these background flowers. I don't know why I thought that. There's a bunch still not done. Oh no. Okay, so let's do that first. Definitely want the hoop for that. Gonna get started on embroidering again and see if I can finish it this year. I would like to finish this in the month of February. I'm not confident now looking at it, but we will do what we can. Okay, so I have finished working on all of the background flowers that I thought were done months ago, and I'm almost done working on the border flowers with the roses and the vines and the leaves and all that. I've got like this last hoop section to do, and so the only thing left is the background color, which I started the background color in this specific shade of dark green. This yarn, this is a Big Twist Living in pine green, and it's this very specific warm dark green. And if you're familiar with Big Twist, you know it's a Joann's brand. It's their like store label. It's February of 2025, so Joann's just announced that they're closing 500 of their stores. We went to our like nearest Joann's yesterday, and things are starting to go on sale, but they didn't have this specific color of yarn, so I wasn't able to get more. I don't know if I'll have enough. I haven't run out of any of the yarn I've been using, but I need the most of this color, and I have like a little less than one skein. I do have another yarn on hand that's similar. It's like the same like value shade, but it's a cooler green. I think I could get away with it if I had to, but I'd prefer to just use the same color. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about putting projects on hold, because I started this in April of last year, so it's been 10 months, and we're going on a full year of working on this. Like 10 months is a long time to be working on something, and granted, this is a big project, so it makes sense that it would take a long time, but a lot of that time, I just wasn't working on it. I wasn't doing anything, and that's okay. That's not a crime. This is something that, like, I think and feel, so maybe you don't have the same issue, but I think this is a fairly common feeling among people who make stuff, that, like, having works in progress and not finishing things quickly enough is like bad, and that's just not true. I mean, it's different if like it's your job or if it's like something for school, because then obviously there's deadlines and you need to, you know, fulfill commitments and that kind of thing. But I'm doing this for fun. This is supposed to be fun. If I'm working on this and it's no longer fun, then I've like lost the plot. I think it's important to keep that in mind, that like I'm working on this because I like to embroider and I want to have some big embroidery hanging on my wall, but wanting the finished product is not as important to me as the process of making it. Like the actual act of like putting a needle through fabric is what's enjoyable for me. And when it's done, I'll have this like lovely reminder of all the hard work that I put in and the time I enjoyed spending on it. But the time is the point. The process is the point. The medium is the message. Marshall McLuhan, not what this is about. And if you take anything away from this video, I want it to be that it's okay to like put projects on hold. You'll get it done eventually. The time will pass. You will come back to it later on and feel motivated and inspired to work on this again. And you will get more out of the experience than if you just push yourself through and rush and make yourself finish it because, like, it's been so long, I need to get it done. Like, no, you don't. You can take your time.
Is that a
You can
spider?
be chill about it and just enjoy the process and have a good time. And I think the finished product will be better overall. Like, I put this project down and didn't look at it for months. And when I finally got it out, I was so excited to work on it. I had found myself like thinking about this. Like, I'd be at work and I would be like daydreaming about working on this project, and I'm like, okay, so it's time to start working on this again. It's good to take your time and enjoy the process. So yeah, I'm on the last leaf of this border, and I'm taking my time doing all the little stitches, and I'm gonna need a new length of yarn in a moment because this one's too short, and that's kind of annoying because I have like half a leaf left, but it's fine. With the border done, I can move back to the big frame. I spent basically every spare second I had working on this thing. If I wasn't sleeping or at work, I was embroidering. Here is a quick look at the clamp lacing thing that I mentioned earlier to put more tension on my fabric. It wasn't perfect, but it definitely made it easier to stitch. Once I finished the background, I took the tapestry off the frame, finished the edges with a whip stitch, and then sewed the rod pocket along the top shut again. And just like that, the embroidery was all done. To hang the tapestry, I used these interlocking command strips that are meant for picture frames, but I just stuck them to some regular command hooks that I spray painted gold. Then I could sleeve the tapestry onto the curtain rod, and I could finally hang the tapestry where it belongs. It's done. It's done. I can finally rest. I'm so happy with this finished product. It looks so good. I'm just so happy to have this blank wall finally covered. I'm so happy with it. Worth the year of almost non-stop embroidery. There's lint on it. I think using the drop cloth was a good idea. It's a good weight for the whole tapestry, and it has like a slightly open weave, so it's easy enough to get the needle through, but not too loose that it can't support the embroidery. So I think that was a good choice. I also really love the look of the bayou stitch. It looks really cool. It makes it look like a textile, which I don't think that makes any sense to say, but it does. I do think my tension in the bayou stitch was like not the best. Obviously there's a lot of warping and wiggliness. I actually had to go in and add a strip of, this is like plastic strapping off of some packaging that I stole out of the dumpster at my office, but just to kind of reinforce this bottom edge, because it's already, like, even with the strapping, it's really wavy. Before that, it was a lot worse. And that's because the tension on my embroidery was too tight, so it's causing the base fabric to warp and pucker. I do also kind of think my couching stitches could have been tighter together. Looking at more references of like the bayou tapestry, they're much closer together. This is like, some of these floats are like really big, but it is what it is. The main benefit of using the bayou stitch was reducing the amount of yarn used, because I used way more yarn than I thought I would. I used 3 skeins of just the dark green on the background. That's like 770 yards of yarn, and that's just covering the front. Like, I'm going to show you the back of my embroidery. That's an extreme sign of trust, so don't betray that and judge me. But like, you can see the back has very little stitching compared to the front that's fully covered. And with like a traditional satin stitch, you're going all the way around through the fabric, so you're covering the back as much as the front. So if I'd done a traditional satin stitch for the background, I would have doubled my yarn usage. That would have been like a lot more. So Bayou stitch, definitely helpful
Right
for
here,
that.
Mama.
I'm also glad that I did the back painting, as annoying as that was.
She's
but
right
it was definitely
here.
worth it to hide the base color of the drop cloth, like especially
here,
on
Mama.
the
She's
worm
right
itself,
here.
because I have a lot of really
Money.
big floats. There's definitely like little gaps where you can see through to the back cloth. The one thing that I really regret with the back painting was going too heavy and too thick with the paint. If you're gonna do this, water down your paint. Do not do a big thick coat of acrylic like I did for some areas. No. It's so hard to sew through. It's so annoying. I had to use pliers at some points. Not worth it. Just do very watered down washes, multiple layers if you need to, especially the like section of the background where I started painting when I was initially planning on just painting it. Remember how I said I was gonna paint the background and not embroider it? Crazy. And I am really glad that I did the whole background as embroidery instead of just painting it. Like I said, I think it looks really cool.
Right here.
It looks like a textile, which again, I don't know what I mean by that, but it's what I mean. I'm just so happy. I haven't, like, working on it, I didn't really get the chance to, like, look at the whole thing as a whole finished piece, because I'm always, like, looking at the one embroidery hoop or the one frame section. But just, like, the whole full finished piece, I love it so much. Oh, my God. And I think it really, like, fills in this corner of the room very nicely. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy to be done working on it. Oh my God. I hope you like it too. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, consider liking the video. It really helps me out. So thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.
She's right here. Come here. Look. Right here. Money. There she is. There's the baby. Are you trying to tell me that you want me to feed you? There's your baby right there. Okay, go ahead. There you go. Oh, buddy. Oh, baby. Money, don't make her fall off the bed. Give her the milk. It'll make her feel better. Oh, baby. Careful. My poor baby kitty. I can't believe that the kitten, her kittengery was getting stuck in the tree, like hung up in the tree. Money, when she was little, she literally got picked up by an owl or something, big bird. I wasn't really sure, to be honest. I think it was an owl, but she literally got picked up off the ground by an owl and then dropped. And she got her back leg, same leg, fucked up. And the mom, Selkie, the grandmother to Suki, got jumped out of the window of this bus while I was driving 35 miles an hour down the road. And she jumped into the middle of a busy fucking street and somehow did not get hit. But like those, it's like every kitten has to get like fucked up by something. So then they are a little more cautious. It has to be just bad enough to hurt them, enough where they'll learn, but not bad enough to severely injure them, permanently damage them, or, you know, kill them. Although some cats do get killed when they do their stupid thing. And that's really truly how the survival of the fittest comes into play. Bro, if I was not home, my kitten would be dead. I would have come home and she would have been dead, hanging in the fucking tree. And I would have been... I would have lost my shit. Dude, it wasn't even like, yeah, I mean, definitely my instincts fucking kicked in, but I mean, she was screaming, and so I ran outside. I'm so glad I decided to put my shoes on instead of just try to run out there without my shoes on, because right below her is just blackberries. Thorn, like, Adam threw some cut blackberry bramble, and so anyway, I had to climb up in the tree. And then Money was freaking out all around me trying to get to the kitten, but she couldn't do anything. So I'm sitting there trying to like help the kitten, keep Money from freaking out. And I was also nervous that she was going to bite me if the kitten made any kind of extra sound of pain. But I was also extra scared about hurting the kitten in some way. But I was able to push the kitten up and then get her leg unwrapped and get her out. It was like her own weight was pulling down, and so it was making the cording, and it's literally just the plant. Like, it's a fucking willow tree, so it's got little skinny where the leaves are. It's like you can use it as cord, like just the branches like this. You can weave things with the willow. It's good for weaving things because it's very flexible and it's very skinny, and as it gets closer to the leaves. But it was as if someone had literally wrapped it around her leg like 10 times. That's what it looked like. But that couldn't, I know that no one wrapped it around her, you know what I mean? Because she was just playing in the tree and she just got herself tangled up. She was playing with Money and they were chasing each other in the tree, and she got hung up. And that is why I will not put a collar on my cat. Even those collars that are supposedly easy release, I'm not taking a chance. Not with all the blackberries and now the willow. I never even thought about that happening in the willow tree. Like, I literally cannot fucking believe that happened. And she would have died. She would have died. She wouldn't have been able to keep breathing. She's freaking out. You can't breathe when there's pressure on your body like that. Oh, baby. My leg hurts. Come here. Come here. Come here. That's my girl. I love you. I'm sorry you hurt yourself today. Yeah. Mommy came to get you, though, didn't I? Yeah, Mommy came to get you. Sure did. sure did. She's not gonna leave you hanging in no tree. Mm-mm. You wanna go lay down with your mom? Normally I wouldn't let her bother you, Money, but she really needs your comfort right now. She needs her mama. Man, that thing is looking saggy. Let me tighten that fucking thing up. What a good mama. She knows her baby's hurt. She's literally licking her boo-boo leg right now. She's such a good mommy. They're totally chaos. She's Suki because that's her name, but yeah, it's spelled the same. And I was watching True Blood a hell of a lot a couple months ago, so. Sometimes I spell it S-U-K-I, just really whatever the autocorrect spells it as. Is whatever it's spelled like. I haven't like locked in yet. Probably it'll be more like S-O-O-K-E-E. Suki. All of Money's teats have dried up except for one. Her chest has gone back to normal except for one spot. Oh, I guess they should have been widening from that point on. I should check my TikTok notifications. You know what I just realized? I have every single fucking text message and Facebook message that girl and I have ever exchanged. And I bet I have the conversation. My phone died. Yeah, I know, on the social media, in England, yeah, but that's not how it is in the United States if you're not wealthy. If you're wealthy and you can pay for a highfalutin attorney, you know, you're good to go. I gotta go get my dog. I'm coming right now. Come on inside. He's a good boy. He's a good boy tree. Oh, no. This one's good, but the other one's better, man. This one has like pieces of cake in it and crunchy chocolate toppings. It's way better. Chocolate cream pie from one of the local restaurants. Dude, I think when TikTok updated their terms and services or whatever, they deleted a bunch of people. One, because my follower count went down like a bunch. I have a video that's got 1 million views, and I have, ever since that video has been posted, I've been consistently getting views. Damn it, Tom. On my other videos. So, like, I know that unless, like, the only way that I could lose like 2,000 or 3,000 followers in a single day is if there was like some kind of like public campaign and I like had a bunch of people, you know, whatever, but nothing like that's happened. So I think that TikTok removed a bunch of accounts. It happened a while back too, like maybe a year ago, 6 months ago, where the amount of views that I had on a video went down. And I was like, how could that even remotely be possible? And so I asked, and the only way that's possible is if the accounts that viewed those or whatever are gone. Yeah. Dang, dude, my hair was really long when I filmed this other. I have 35 gigabytes on my tablet of drafts. My henna video is about to hit 16 million views. It has 15,890,033. So the video's pretty much not being pushed anymore. I wonder if I could like way. You can't repost your own videos. That's lame. My sock is oddly shaped And I know that the other one won't be oddly shaped, but this is a tester. I may end up unraveling this entire thing once I finish with it so that I can make it correctly, and maybe I will just not pick it back up for a year. Who knows? I feel like I want to go back and at the very least just go back to here and don't start my increases until I get, or my decreases until I get like here. I think I want to go back and add stitches here. So it would be better if it was just this is a really pretty fabric. Did you guys see what I made my baby? I finished Elliot's pillow today. I like started it and finished it today. I think I'm gonna make a shrug maybe. I have this really pretty yarn. I think would make a really pretty shrug, and so I think that's what I'm gonna do now, because I don't feel like doing any of the things I'm supposed to do. Let's see, do I remember how to start it? Crochet, bolero, shrug. Ooh. Alright, let's see what this girl does.
Hey guys, welcome or back to my channel. Today I will be showing you guys how to make this bolero. It's super easy and fast, and it's a great beginner friendly project. And if you guys have any questions throughout the video, feel free to let me know, and let's get started. So for materials, you're going to need a darning needle, yarn, and I'm using this yarn from Hobby Lobby. It's
almost
Jade
the same
Taffeta
yarn!
and the brand Yarn Bee, and I use 100 grams of this. You also
Cool.
need scissors and a crochet hook, and I'm using a 4.25 millimeter crochet hook. To start, you're going to want to start with a slip knot, and you're going to chain half of your bust size. I chained 75.
Oh, this is stringy yarn. Oh no.
And I'm just showing you guys my measurement. I measured out
This is an awfully small
18 inches,
stitch.
and now you're going to chain 9 more.
I think I'm going to use a bigger needle.
And then you're going to work a double crochet into the 10th stitch from the hook.
Yep. This is the same. This is the same one that I believe I might have saved. There she is.
That we're holding on to. Insert your hook, and then from here you are going to chain enough to meet half of your bust measurement, plus a little bit more. I like doing a little bit extra. So you take your yarn, wrap it around the hook, and then pull it through the loop, and then just do this until you get the right length. My bust measurement is about 34 inches, and as you can see, I just have about 17 and a half inches worth of chains, so a little bit more than half of my bust. And this is 61 chains. In case you're trying to make the same size as me, I did 61 chains. Once you've chained enough for half of your bust measurement, you're now going to do 9 additional chains. So what I like to do is hold on to this very last chain that we did, just so I can mark it and don't have to recount. And I'm going to just count 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we're going to start making our mesh stitch. So you're going to wrap your yarn and then go into this chain that we're holding on to. So the 10th chain from the hook, because we just did 9 chains. So you're going to the 10th chain from your hook. If you do let go, it's fine. Just count the 10th chain from your hook. Go in there, pull your yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And that's a double crochet, in case you don't know. If that was hard for you, feel free to watch it again or look up a tutorial or something, but that is a double crochet. And now you're going to chain 3, and then skip 3 stitches, go into the 4th stitch with a double crochet, chain 3,
Orly!
skip 3 stitches, go into the 4th stitch.
Stop!
With a double crochet.
Do you have to go
And you can do
potty?
this all the way down.
Do you need to go potty outside? Huh? This better not be about food. 1, 2, 3, 4. I literally just let you inside. Whoa, whoa, whoa! You want to go outside? What do you want? What? What? Here, you can have some of these. Hold on. Hold on. Back up.
If you have 3 or 5, I say just pretend that it's 4 and pretend that it's right, and it'll probably be fine. It doesn't need perfect. I don't know. So here I've done the first row of these mesh stitches. Once you get to the very end, instead of chaining 3, you're going to chain 6. And you're going to do this at the end of every single row from now on. Well, I've turned my work, and now I'm going to do double crochets into these gaps, these holes right here. So wrap your yarn around the hook, go into that big gap there, the very first one, do a double crochet, and now you're going to chain 3 like we were doing earlier. Go into this next one, chain 3, and you're just going to do this all the way down, doing a double crochet into the big gaps here, all the way to this very last one. And then I go into this very last one just like normal, double crochet, and then once again, since we're at the end, we're going to be chaining 6. Then turn your work. Now do the same thing where you go into this very first one with double crochet, chain 3, and then just repeat the whole way down. I'm working on my 4th row here, and I think you guys have got it down by now, and if you don't, feel free to rewash the parts where I'm showing how to do this stitch. But what you're going to do now is you're going to do this for a total of 8 rows. So right now I'm on my 4th, and I'm going to do this for 8, and I'll get back to you once I've done 8 rows. I'm finishing up my 8th row. And there we go.
Lily, come on. Ah. Go lay down. Ah.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope everybody had a tolerable winter season, and I hope everyone is as excited as I am to be entering spring. Yay! Even though the weather is not looking spring at all. Like, what is going on here? Like, what is this? Hopefully where you live it's better. If you're not that excited for spring, there is a high chance that you will be by the end of this video, because today's video is going to be how to level up your crochet game, how to get to the next level from beginner to advanced beginner or advanced beginner to intermediate. Now, you might be thinking, who the hell is this girl trying to tell me how to level up in my crochet game? Listen, to that I say, I'm just a girl, but I'm also a girl who crocheted her own birthday dress a few years back. I know you see this in the back. I also crocheted my graduation dress, and I crocheted this pillow. Like, how can you not trust me? I say all of this to say, this is where I started. This was my first project, and it is a bag, supposed to be a bag. There are many mistakes in this bag. I didn't know how to slip stitch, and so I had to sew everything together with sewing thread. But my point is, this is my first bag, and this is my latest bag that I crocheted. So I think this is a good example to show you how I improved on my own crochet projects. And a lot of people have always asked me, like, how did you improve? How did you get to this level? How did you get better at crocheting? And I think I have very helpful tips to share with you. So I have gathered my most helpful tips, and I want to share them with you guys before you start your next crochet project, or before you even start learning how to crochet. I highly recommend watching this video because I think my tips will help you out. Coming from a person who never, bought a pattern until like a year after learning how to crochet. So I have come up with 5 helpful tips on how to level up your crochet game. So with every tip that I give you, I'm actually also going to show you an example, like a crochet project to accompany that tip. And I'm going to show you what I mean through my own projects. Let's get straight into it. Tip number 1 is expand your yarn knowledge. Guys, who knew that this was going to be the first tip? Too many times I see people upset about the outcome of their project when all they needed to do was just switch up the yarn. What do I mean by this? Take, for example, my birthday outfit. Insert pictures here. One of my most popular outfits, or just projects in general. I think it's probably the most popular project I've made. Probably next to my crochet case, which I have a tutorial on. The reason I get so many compliments is because the yarn that I used was very thin. If you want a flowy project that looks very intricate and professional looking, I highly recommend choosing a yarn that is thin. So here is a list of yarn weights that you would typically see in a lot of people's projects online.
Inches. Once you get to the very end, instead of chaining 3, you're going to chain 6. And you're going to do this at the end of every single row from now on.
Do you
So
put it in the first hole, or
I'm going to do double crochets into these gaps, these holes right here. So wrap your yarn around the hook.
Yeah.
Go into that big.
No, that's not what I selected, bro. I hate how it makes you play your whole playlist. It doesn't go back to the video you were
I would say the
watching.
most common weight yarn that I see is weight 4. That's what I do with most of my projects. Weight 4 yarn and up is the best weight, in my opinion, to make sturdy projects. Weight 3 and below is where you want to start getting intricate, detailed pieces. This is probably the lightest outfit that I own. It honestly feels like it weighs nothing when I'm wearing it, and that's number 1 because the yarn is very thin, and number 2 because the yarn is a mix of acrylic and cotton. So not only should you change up the weight of your yarn, but you should also look into the material itself. This is 50% cotton and 50% acrylic, so it's a blend. If you want your project to be nice and flowy, then use thinner yarn and a smaller hook. If you have the money to splurge from time to time, then you can look into getting yarns that are merino wool, alpaca, silk, something different from your usual. This is gonna make your project stand out because it's little changes that really count when you wanna advance your crochet. If you take, for example, this is fully acrylic yarn, and it's pretty. This is my graduation dress. I love it so much. I do. I tried really hard. Wash the armpits, but it is not as flowy as I would like it to be. It's flowy, but it's a little bit stiff. Versus how flowy this is. Do you see the difference? Like, this is very flowy. This is a little stiff, and that is number 1 because this is thinner with a blend of yarn versus this is a little bit thicker with just acrylic. So switching it up really helps. So experiment with different yarns, guys. Go to thrift stores, go to yarn markets if you have any around your area. I personally don't. Actually just got this yarn in the mail. Look at this sweet sequins, guys. Like, this is the first time I'll ever be using sequin yarn. I'm gonna make my birthday outfit, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Hopefully I want to make my birthday outfit with this. I got this from AliExpress. I'm going to add another yarn to it, probably cotton. I think this is already cotton though. We'll see how that goes. But like I said, just experiment with different yarns. So moving on to tip number 2, it's in a similar vein as tip number 1, and that is change up your stitch. Guys, I know how comfortable it is to do single, double, half double, or treble, but doesn't that get boring at some point? Sometimes you don't even realize, like when you're scrolling on Pinterest or Instagram and you look at like a piece and you see a crochet project, the thing that makes it different from others is the stitch that they're using. Take, for example, this dress. I think her name is Orion Crochet. Hello, this is just a bunch of different stitches. I would love to crochet this dress one day, but it's so pretty, and I think it's so eye-catching because of the stitches that she has incorporated in this project. Versus, imagine the same dress with like maybe just double, half double. Nothing's wrong with that, but we need to switch it up. This is what's gonna take it up a notch. You know what I mean? Back to my example, I used the shell stitch because I wanted a mermaid look, and that's the effect it gave. Same thing with the sleeves. I used the shell stitch. I used the shell stitch as well. And that's what gives it that beautiful look. Also, when you add like something sparkly, it always is gonna take it up a notch too. She was a humongous bird. So I personally have kind of stuck to the same pool of like 2 to 3 stitches, which is like the lemon peel stitch and the shell stitch. But there are so many different stitches to learn from that are out there. I've also been using Skillshare, who is the sponsor of today's video. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video.
How do people have so little followers and yet they're getting sponsorships? It's crazy.
What's up, guys? Any government-run grocery stores here in America? That sounds like communism. No, it sounds like New York. New York City grocery prices are high. Could city-owned stores help? A New York mayoral candidate wants the city to open its own grocery stores, and the idea is gain momentum. That's right. Zorhan Mandami, who's created videos like this, explaining how he's going to have the government take over all of the grocery stores. He said that on his campaign website. What could possibly go wrong? City-owned grocery stores. There you go. Food prices are out of control. 9 in 10 New Yorkers say the cost of groceries is rising faster than your income. Only the wealthiest are feeling squeezed. As Mayor Zohan will create city-owned grocery stores. We'll focus on keeping prices low. How could that possibly backfire? Well, anybody who's ever been to a communist country, I have, can tell you that this is going to backfire horribly because obviously a grocery store requires on an obscene numbers of levers having to do with the free market, supply and demand, cost and stability. I saw it for myself.
You want one brand of government brand food to buy, support the government grocery stores.
Nothing
if you
in
want
stores,
variety.
and then lo and behold, in Kansas City, they open up a government-run grocery store. The media reporting on it was hysterical. This was a failing store. The city of Kansas City, which is very left-wing, decided to take it over. And the results were predictable. Here we go.
For months, the store hasn't fully been stocked. Still, person after person comes to buy groceries.
I thank the previous operator for the years they put into that, as well as their predecessor. And now we'll try to do all we can to make sure that this works.
Mayor Quinton Lucas is disappointed. He met with the store operator 2 weeks ago for hours trying to come up with a solution.
Yeah, I know there are different challenges to how a grocery
need
store can operate.
food
Part of that
in your
challenge
store?
is the city certainly has been happy to be a partner, but there's always a limit to what we will invest as well.
It comes down to money. The city owns the building and has invested nearly $29 million in the store. Still, the Sunfresh was losing money.
All of a sudden, you roll down here this morning and they're gone, and they're saying they're not coming back.
All neighbors know is there's no food here now, and they wish that wasn't the case.
I'd like to know what could be done, maybe to bring it back.
In Kansas City, Brian Johnson, KMBC 9 News.
The conclusion of this, of course, is also very predictable. City-owned grocery store in Kansas City has shut down after $29 million from the city had been invested to keep it open. Don't worry, it'll definitely work in New York City, right? Struggling city-owned Missouri market, similar to Zorhan Mandami's grocery proposal, shuts its doors. Sunfresh Market. The publicly funded grocery store in Missouri, similar to Zorhan Mandami's Big Apple proposal, abruptly closed Tuesday morning, leaving a note on the entrance stating it can no longer serve the residents due to circumstances beyond our control. The Sunfresh Market in Kansas City, which opened in 2018 as part of a multi-million-dollar revitalization plan, shuttered just weeks after viral footage exposed the struggling store's bare shelves and foul odor and frustrated customers. The alarming footage taken by local stations sparked renewed skepticism of Mandami's plan to create grocery stores run by the city. Kansas City's grocery store shut down after burning through $29 million in subsidies. What could they have done for $29 million? How many potholes could they have filled? How many good things could the city have done? Kansas City-run grocery store shuts down after rampant theft, barren shelves. City spent $29 million, $30 million to keep it open. Here's the sign. Due to unforeseen circumstances outside of our control, we are no longer at this time able to serve the residents of this important community. It's always been our dream and passion to provide quality products, really. At the same time, unfortunately, we are unable to do that. And here's the reports of them closing the store.
Problems at the Sunfresh grocery store on Prospect Avenue have come to a head. The
Prospect,
doors are locked,
huh?
and the sign on front the door reads, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances beyond our control, we are no longer at this time able to serve the residents of this community. KSHP 41's Alyssa Jackson has gone in depth looking into issues with this grocery store over the years, including just last month when customers reported empty shelves and an odor that was just emanating from inside the store. Security concerns have also plagued the store since its opening, with city officials pledging thousands in security upgrades. The nonprofit community builders of Kansas City took ownership of the store in 2022. They told Alyssa Jackson this morning, CBKC is no longer able to serve the residents from this Midtown Sunfresh location, and they have no other comments at this time.
Oh, you know, you hate to see it happen. Or do you actually hate to see it happen? I actually don't hate to see it happen. Socialism doesn't work. Do you even understand the complexities of the supply and demand chains that are required to get like a fresh avocado on the shelf, to get a ruby red grapefruit onto the shelf? Do you understand how many small economic indicators and how many supply chain variances need to roll all in the same direction for you to get a fresh avocado? Does anybody even understand how miraculous that is, that we can get that? Like in the winter, that you can get a fresh avocado up north in the winter?
No, people
Maine,
don't understand
in
that.
America?
They think it's normal.
Yeah, it's not the government.
They don't understand luxury. They are entitled. Americans think this is normal.
It turned out to be a huge
Spoiled
success.
everybody.
Teaching residents that socialism doesn't work. Democrats in Kansas City has funneled tens of millions of taxpayers to support the grocery store. It's a rotting smell, no food. And prostitutes use the parking lot to solicit sex work. Got it. Store Hamandami, though, says it's great. Government-funded grocery store in Kansas has failed. Shelves are completely empty, food rotted, and millions of federal dollars wasted. Another dumb Democrat. We went to Cuba. We saw it for ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the proof. Can't wait to go back, actually. I want to go back and do more. A return to show people what it's truly like. You can go experience it not too far from where I am right now, just 90 miles in Havana. Here we go.
We drove over there all together. We pulled up to the grocery store, and the gates were closed, and there was a line down the street. This is insane. All of a sudden, the guards come to the gate and they open the gate, and that's when, I've never seen this before, but everyone swarms. People started running, even people that weren't in line, that were just like in the area, just start sprinting in there because this is their only chance to get their essentials and the necessities to feed their families.
So I really hope that you like Conchita Mango Marmalade, because we have a whole aisle of it. Here in Cuba, you can get an individually wrapped hamburger, and that's as fresh as the meat actually gets. Oh, this one's all melty. But my God, can you get a lot of the exact same brand of garbanzo beans? And then after you're done buying all these incredible products, you can stand in line for literally an hour, which is as long as we've been standing in line. And I'm telling you, you probably are not going to like Cuba that much. There was literally no fresh fruit, no fresh meat, no fresh vegetables, nothing. There was one brand of the things they did have, and the things they didn't have, well, screw you. So, that is life inside of socialist and Americana here in Cuba. Socialism sucks.
This area was so developed.
Was there a person involved in prosecuting Donald Trump who enjoyed going after?
You can't do it. You can't go and do it retroactively. When the video was going viral, I was kicking myself for not putting an Amazon link in there. I would have sold 1 billion of those henna kits. Oh, baby, careful. About 1.5 years after I made that video, the company that I buy my henna from put their henna on TikTok Shop. So I went a few weeks ago to see if I could retroactively add or anything like that, and it has to be within 7 days of originally posting the video. You can edit the stuff. After that, you can only edit your location. Like, I can't edit the caption or anything anymore. I tried retroactively getting an Amazon whatever link and then putting it in the comments, but the comment never, you know, didn't get seen by anybody for whatever reason. TikTok hid the comment or kept it down at the very bottom. There were so many comments on that video, hundreds of thousands of comments. For like 6 months straight, every time I opened my phone, I had hundreds of comments. I couldn't keep track of like anything. So many comments and like follows and likes and shit a day. It was just, my account was completely held hostage. I couldn't do anything because like if I commented on something and I wanted to get, you know, I wanted to make sure I caught the reply or whatever, any comment was like, just, it was just so overwhelming after a certain point. That was when I stopped checking like everything pretty much. And if I have a video that pops off, I usually don't follow the comments after a certain 1, 2, 3, 4 amount. 5, 6. wish I was the kind of person who could just lay in bed and watch TV. It would have been nice to just lay on my side and watch TV all day. But like, I can't do that. I don't know how. My hips hurt. Ooh, that's pretty.
I am obsessed with mosaic crochet, and I think that you would be obsessed with mosaic crochet if you tried it as well. So today's video is my argument for why I think you should try mosaic crochet, because I feel like you're going to end up as obsessed as I am with it as well. I'm Jessie of Crochet by Jessie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, and let's get into today's video. At this stage, I have well and truly taken on the title of Mosaic Crochet Monster. I embrace it, I love it, and I think it's because mosaic crochet is one of the best forms. For me, it's the best form of crochet, but not many people know about it, not many people know how to do it, and a lot of people just don't go towards it because they think it's really complicated, or they think it's maybe out of what they can do and too far out of their comfort zone. So with today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a bunch of the reasons why I love it, why I think you'll love it, and also just kind of giving a little bit more information about mosaic crochet in general. So point number one, if you have seen mosaic crochet and you think it is so complicated, it's way too complex, you could never do it, just completely throw that mindset out of the window. The reason I'm saying that is because you only need to know how to single crochet and double crochet, and you'll be able to do it. That's it. I feel like the biggest reason that people don't even try mosaic crochet is because the results are so amazing that people find it really daunting, and they just assume it's going to be a lot more complicated than it actually is. And then because of that, they don't even try it in the first place. The main thing that you really need to do is just keep a track on your stitches and the counting of the certain components in the design, because yeah, if you mess up on it, it does look a little bit more obvious than traditional crochet, but I would argue and say if you mess it up, you can kind of tell with regular crochet anyway, so it's not like a massive jump in that sense. But yeah, as long as you're counting and you're following designs that are kind of a little bit more repetitive, so it's easier to do when you're first starting out, then you're not going to have that worry, that concern, because I'm not the best with my counting, and I'm intentionally designing patterns that are a little bit more repeat friendly, so you can kind of get it ingrained into you as you're working on the row or the round of it. So yeah, once you kind of nail that, and I feel like you get used to it fairly quickly, then that part's not going to be a concern. Another reason I feel like you guys should try mosaic crochet is because of how versatile mosaic crochet is as a form of crochet. There are so many different ways that it can be used and utilized, and I just feel like based on the design that you end up getting with mosaic crochet, nothing else quite replicates it, I'd say, out of any other form of crochet. It's so unique, and there's so much you can do with it. I personally first started out my journey of mosaic crochet making so many blankets. So I'm going to put in a bunch of the photos of all of the blankets that I have designed. I've got my spring crochet along that I designed earlier this year. And I just feel like mosaic crochet is amazing for blankets for quite a few different reasons. Number one, the thickness of the blanket overall is just perfect for when you're making a blanket. I tend to use standard double knit acrylic, and it works up really thick. I love the stitches. It's not a very loose project at all, where some kind of traditional crochet can be. So that is one really big benefit of using mosaic crochet for blankets. And two, you get to work a really, really intricate design into a blanket, which gives it so much more customization, makes it so much more personal to you or to others if you're gifting it as well, because I've gifted mosaic crochet pieces as well, and they're so one of a kind based on the color palette you use, the design you use, the twist that you can do in every single aspect. And yeah, I really feel like it translates so well into blankets. So if you're someone who really likes to make blankets and you've not made mosaic crochet blankets, you really should take on this task, because it is so rewarding when you finish a project of that size with such an intricate design crocheted into it as you go along. This is a slightly less specific reason tailored to my experience, but I just feel like in general, mosaic crochet is far easier to have themed pieces in comparison to other forms of crochet. I myself went through a really crazy Halloween phase, so here are a few examples of all of the Halloween blankets that I've designed. And yeah, I feel like because you can actually create the designs into the blanket and have these really beautiful features to it, it's a lot more obvious that you're working with like a certain theme, because I know with Halloween, for example, certain color palettes are very much Halloween related, but being able to incorporate ghosts and witches and black cats and all those kind of things, I think it makes it a far more obvious way of having themed pieces in comparison to other forms of crochet. A few other themes that I have done projects with, for example, my spring crochet along blanket, and I'll add a few photos here. I've also done some pride related projects, and honestly the possibilities are endless when it comes to mosaic crochet and what you can create doing it.
People just don't really want to buy stuff like that from me,
and that I
you
think
know?
you guys will love mosaic crochet.
So anytime I've ever had an Amazon storefront, it never sold anything, and they close you out after a certain amount of time. They like close out your access
and it is honestly
to
a game changer.
I
before didn't really think
you
that
have to
it's
meet
something
some
that you would be
quota
able to
in order
do.
to
I
keep
thought that
it.
maybe the pieces would be a little bit too thick, but I've switched to thinner fine weight cotton, and the results have been amazing. I'm absolutely obsessed with it now, and I'm on a bit of a designing frenzy currently. I have too many ideas in my head now that I've realized that this is possible and it's something that you can do successfully. I'm telling you now, mosaic crochet wearables are just next level. This is coming from me wearing a crochet jumper. I have crocheted a lot of wearables, so many things over the years, and the satisfaction of what literally feels like you're crocheting a piece of art that you get to wear at the end of it. It is such a satisfying process, and because you can see the pattern developing as you're working on it, you kind of get hooked on it, and then you just want to continue doing it, and then when you finish your piece you want to work on another piece or do a different color palette. And because you're working with mosaic crochet, you can add as many colors into it as you want. You could have 2 colors, you could have 10 colors. And I feel like that flexibility is another really fun aspect of mosaic crochet, because you can be subtle with pieces. You can use color changing yarn as one color and then a block color for another color, or you can use loads and loads of colors and just have essentially like a rainbow of mosaic crochet. And that point has also reminded me that another reason that I think you'll love mosaic crochet is because you don't have to color change as you're working in the row, which is just, it's such a game changer. Because if you've tried out tapestry crochet like I have, I love tapestry, but I feel like the amount of color changes that I have to do whilst I'm working on it, for me, that's a little bit of a deal breaker, because I start to find it really fiddly. I feel like all of my yarn gets tangled up, and then I'm never really truly satisfied with how I've done all of the color changes, all the transitions for the finished piece. Whereas with mosaic crochet, you can do an entire design only working on 2 colors, and it is 1 color per row. So you are not color changing at all, except for when you're starting your next row. And a lot of people have seen my designs, for example, my haunted Halloween design here, and people were asking, oh my goodness, it must have been a pain to be constantly changing those colors between the black and the white yarn. And then when I told them that, no, I didn't have to do that at all. It's just single crochet and double crochet, and each row is either white or black. It just alternates between the 2 of them. They were mind blown, because it doesn't look like that when you're actually, from an outside perspective looking in, it doesn't look like that's the case. It looks like there's color changings taking place, that it's really complex. But it's not at all. And again, I feel like not having to worry about color changing whilst you're in the middle of a row, in a blanket, in some kind of wearable project, it's really nice not having to worry about that. Don't get me wrong, you can do it. And I've done it in this blanket, for example. I've done it in this top here, which is my Kalos top, which I've literally just finished recently designing. And yeah, I feel like when you do a little bit more mosaic crochet and you're feeling a little bit more confident, you can incorporate a little bit of color changing in certain aspects when you're going through a row. but you don't have to. And I feel like that's the most important thing. It's optional. It's not like you have to do it to end up with a design. You can have a design regardless if you're using 2 colors. If anything as well, there are ways to incorporate more than 1 color in certain designs, and you're not having to change the color in the round. You could have 3 colors or 4 colors, but just based on the overall design, you're not still color changing in the same row. But it's really not that bad even when you're doing it. I feel like it's one of those where it's just the more experienced and more confident and more adventurous you get with your designs, then do it, explore it. But yeah, the fact that it is a completely optional aspect of mosaic crochet, for me, even more bonus points towards mosaic crochet for that. I also can't remember at this stage in the video if I've actually shown you guys basically all of the wearable designs that I've done with mosaic crochet. So here is a second just to show everything. So I'll have all of the designs pop up around me just to show you just how versatile these designs can be. You can end up with an infinite amount of designs when it comes to mosaic crochet, because there are so many different aspects and elements that you can use, the themes that you can go for, the concepts, the color palettes that you want to do, all of it. And for me, that's what I'm most excited with, because I feel like personally I can get a little bit bored with traditional crochet sometimes. I love crochet regardless, but I also like a challenge, and I feel like I've never had more of a challenge than when I'm mosaic crocheting, but not in an extreme way. I feel like you're a lot more into it, and you're focusing on the counting, and you're really paying a bit more attention. So it's not kind of like the same mindless crochet that I feel like we can get into a bit of a rhythm with when it's a little bit more basic. And yeah, I feel like I want to feel like I'm really, really achieving something and working on something a bit more difficult and ending up with a finished project that will literally make me gasp when I look at it and think, oh my goodness, I've just made this myself, or I've designed this, or because you really do feel good when you finish mosaic crochet pieces. And I felt great finishing any kind of crochet piece, but finishing a mosaic crochet piece is a whole different level of satisfaction for me. I'm also going to take this opportunity to show you guys a project that I'm currently working on. So I'm using color changing yarn for the first time in a mosaic crochet wearable piece. I've done it with blankets before, but not an actual piece of clothing. So I'm working, and yes, before you say anything internally, I agree. It's a very feeble looking start of a cardigan, but it is the start of a cardigan, I promise. But yeah, the point I was making earlier about using color changing yarn, you can end up with an even more complex piece, which is already complex because it's mosaic crochet, if you have a color changing yarn element into it. And for this piece overall, I'm going to be focusing quite a lot on neutrals. So I thought that having this cotton yarn, that's a little bit more gradual color changing, but color changing nonetheless, would just be a funky little way to still have it be completely neutrals, but also kind of have like a little feature pop in the project at the same time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is going to turn out. I have not actually done a mosaic crochet cardigan yet, so hopefully the layout and overall design does go to plan. But that's another thing. I feel like it's really fun figuring out designs and figuring out how you want to do things, because it is going to be different to traditional crochet, where it is a little bit easier to kind of figure out how to do it, because you're trying to keep such an intricate design looking good and actually being consistent whilst you're doing it at the same time. And yeah, I love to give myself a challenge, which is probably another reason why I'm so obsessed with mosaic crochet. I don't like to take the easy way out. I like the project which is going to be more difficult, but I am going to be more happy with at the end of it. I hope that my argument today has been successful in making you at least a little bit interested in trying out mosaic crochet. Maybe this video was the sign and the push that you needed, because maybe you were thinking about doing it for a while and you just weren't entirely sure if it was worth it or not. But I'm here to tell you that it is worth it. It's not as difficult as it looks. It is even more satisfying than it looks. And yeah, there's so much that you can do with it. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Hopefully you'll see more of me on my channel if you're watching some more mosaic crochet videos. I do quite a lot, so if you need more of a visual explanation of mosaic crochet, consider that covered. I've got intros to it. I've got how to mosaic crochet in the round if you want to make certain wearables. I have got tutorials where I go through free pattern swatches that I've created. So if it's a matter of being a visual learner and not being sure where to start, definitely start there. But with all of that being said, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
I
have a lot of striped fabric. I gravitate towards stripes in an effort to not be overwhelmed by florals. You'd think those were the only two options in the land of patterned fabric based on how much I have of both. I keep telling myself, stop buying stripes. But today I have a reason to use the stripes, specifically. So I made this dress like a month ago now? What is time? And I didn't film it. I was just experimenting, having a little me time. It's not you, it's me. And y'all loved it. I mean, it turned out pretty cool. So like, not to toot my own horn, but I kind of expected that. And I promised that I would do a video exploring the pleating of stripes technique that I did here. So today I shall make good on that promise. Yay! I cannot guarantee that it will turn out as well the second time around as it did this first time, because y'all, sometimes I just get lucky, but we shall explore nonetheless. Yesterday, having finally accepted that it will probably be a very long time before I actually put shelves in my fabric closet and move the mound back in there, I decided to go ahead and organize, separate, categorize all of the fabric that is currently being stored in the guest bedroom. Hi! Mostly because I wanted to find every single piece of striped fabric that I own, and they were all over the place in the mountain. Stripes. And I can hear you asking, I definitely heard at least one person ask, why is the fabric all on the floor? Wasn't it piled gracefully on the bed before? Funny story, we had to sleep in here one night several weeks ago because we broke our bed. Hi. Hello. What a big boy. To be fair, we're pretty sure the movers broke the bed when they were moving it into the room, and we discovered that it was broken like many months ago. All like the middle support legs have just been scooted or snapped off somehow. And because we didn't know how to fix that at the time, our reaction was, let's just ignore that until it becomes a real problem. Stripes. And yeah, it became a problem one night when I plunked into bed after a long, exhausting day of sitting very still as usual, and one whole corner of it just collapsed onto the ground. It was midnight, Matt was still at work, I was not in the mood, so I marched right out of that bedroom, hurled the massive pile of fabric in the guest bedroom onto the floor, and we slept in there that night. I just realized that I stacked all of this fabric up against the edge of the comforter where the puppy dries himself off after a bath. Such a drama. So it's very covered in fur. Whoops. Wrap up to that story. This actually occurred very shortly after I had procured numerous power tools to do my studio here. So the next day we were able to fix the bed all on our own, thanks to the power of drills, jigsaws, and nail guns. Huzzah! A little bit early in the video to have a whole story time, but I do what I want. Let's have a quick demonstration of the technique that I used to make this dress, which by the way is not like a new technique or anything. I didn't discover it, but I don't know if it has a name. I just fiddled around and figured it out. Was this a shirt? I didn't cut this out. This came to me looking like this. Okay. 'Tis fairly simple. It's just a pleat. I think it would be called a pleat. We fold a stripe in half and sew down a section of it to make that stripe mysteriously disappear for a bit, and then wow, it's still there above and below. Or when you have multiple different kinds of stripes, like on this fabric, you can choose which ones you want to make disappear. Let's make all three of them disappear. Which is, of course, a much more dramatic flare at the bottom and the top, where those come back. And then if you keep pleating those stripes one after another, you end up with this really cool effect where you're all one color in the center and then fan out to the multiple colors at the top and bottom. So on this fabric, because I had the 3 colors of stripes, I just decided first what color I wanted to highlight. I went with blue, and then I folded the other 2 stripes in half. Hold on. Here's an inside view. So you can see I folded each yellow and pink pleat and sewed it from here to here. And I came into this dress with no plans. I think I had about 1.5 yards or 2 yards of this fabric, so it wasn't enough in the end to go all the way around, which is why I added these pink panels on the side so I could actually make it a dress. But I basically just laid it out flat and then started sewing all of these pleats in. I measured from my shoulder to my underbust and then added a couple inches, and that's how far down on the fabric I started sewing. And then I measured from my underbust to my low waist, and that's how I knew how long to sew. And then once I had pleated the entire piece of fabric, that's when I realized it wasn't enough to make a dress. So I cut it in half down the center, and I just went with like the easiest option up top because I was not in the mood to figure anything out. Dolman sleeves and a boat neck. They really don't require figuring anything out. Very easy. If we were gonna plan out something in advance, there would definitely be a lot of math involved. You would need to know how deep each pleat is going to be and how many of them you're going to make so that you would know how much fabric you needed to start with. And then of course that pleat would be heavily based on what size the stripe of the fabric you're using is, but then also how many stripes are you pleating together? Are you folding 1 in half? Are you doing 2? Are you doing 3? Yeah, it would be a lot of calculating. So I'm just gonna wing it again, like I did the first time, because that's way more fun. I'd like to do both a knit like this one, which I think is much more forgiving, particularly for this experiment. But also I would like to try a woven fabric this time, which I think will require a little more pre-calculation, even while winging it. So within the stripey pile, there are some that are very definitely not the best options for this technique. Anything with really small or thin stripes, like, yeah, theoretically, you could do that, but it sounds like a misery. It would not be fun. Same with, like, if it's a big stripe and then a tiny stripe. Can't exactly do anything with that. Bah. If it's too many different colors of stripes, like technically I could do something with this. I could pleat together all of that, so just the orange is showing, and that would look really cool, but it would require a lot of fabric because you're losing a big chunk of it to each pleat, and I don't have that much. So none of that. Wovens, knits, no. Okay, so we're left with like 8 options here. 4 knits and 4 wovens. So now I'm just gonna procrastinate for a minute while I try to decide which of these I actually want to use. But you don't need to see all that, so we'll cut ahead to me already having made up my mind. Okay, so after giving it some thought, as cool as the tiny stripes would be, I'm not really in that kind of a mood right now. Like, that would be a lot of tiny little sewing. I'm gonna do that at some point, but not in this video. We're going with the big stripes. Because what I realized is that this fabric is very similar, minus the color, to this fabric. The 3 different stripes, they're a little wider here. So what I can basically do is create something very similar to this dress that y'all wanted to know about, but lacking pigment. They'll look so cool next to each other, and that's perfect because honestly, this is probably one of my favorite dresses I've ever made, if not my favorite. Like, it feels so good in so many different ways. It is so comfortable, and at the same time, I feel dramatic and like a pretty princess. Honestly, I might not get to the woven fabric attempt in this video. We might just be sticking with this. But that just leaves me with options in the future, because that purple fabric, the purple stripes that are like shiny stripes with sheer stripes in between, I have some pretty cool ideas of what you could do with that in this vein. I'm gonna need a different needle. Ooh, I just had a thought. This is the perfect opportunity. Oh, where'd you go? I almost lost that. Ah, I almost lost it again. This is the perfect opportunity to use out the knit presser foot that I tried in my very long Let's Review Presser Feet video. What are you? right. We're doing it. Wait, was that supposed to go underneath? I've already forgotten. Well, that doesn't seem right. Don't make me go back and watch my own video to figure out how to use this. I think that is right. We're going with it. Anyway, in the spirit of winging it, just like I did with this one, I think I'm just gonna start from one end and sew in the pleats all the way across, and then figure out
I
what I'm
taught
doing with
myself
it.
how to
I do have
crochet
more of this than
10
I had
years ago, but
of this, so I don't think I'll need to add
didn't
any
really
extra
learn
fabric
much.
to it, but if I do need to add any extra fabric,
I did
have
one
black
project
knit.
and then
Easy
I
peasy
didn't
lemon
pick it up
squeezy.
again until
So I think I'm
about
gonna start my
7 months
pleats
ago.
about 18 inches down from the top. Yeah, that should be fine. And then they really only need to be 5 inches long. So 18 inches.
So maybe 7 months.
There.
Really?
Then
Crocheting.
5 inches.
But I've known how, technically.
Is
There's a
right.
mosquito in here. Is there a fucking window open that I've left open?
If your first seam isn't quite right and some of the band color is peeking through, you can just flip the pleat to the other side and sew it again.
I'm
to get rid
making
that.
one of those
Super easy.
shrugs.
One down, tons more to go. I'm gonna turn on some TV now. That was it. We're done. All right, so here is what we ended up with. I did think it would be helpful to measure the fabric in case that measurement is helpful to anyone. This is about 3 1/4 yards of fabric, and I held it up around my body just kind of lightly with all of this done. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna go all the way around me without any side panels or any other fabric being added to it. So,
What
if
happened
that's
here?
helpful to anyone, grand. I still probably need to cut this in half. Why, you ask? Pockets. If I cut it in half and then sew those
How'd this
two
even
halves
happen?
together, rather than having one side seam or a seam in the back, I'll have 2 side seams and I can put pockets in those side seams. I also think I will keep the dolman sleeve shape just because it's really easy to do with this and it's really comfy. I love dolman sleeves, but I do think I'm gonna do a different neckline. A lot of people on Instagram suggested or said that they would have preferred a V-neck on this. So yeah, we'll see if I can do that. It would also be really cool at some point to do a version of this where the pleats are on the outside. I don't know, you maybe sew them down like that so you get that really cool twist. Variations on a theme, y'all. Variations on a theme. It's very easy for me to get really fascinated by some random new
I've been telling
technique
myself to
and
change
wanna
this
make
video
a
for like
ton
10
of
minutes, but
different
as soon as I
things
finish this
using
row,
it in slightly
I'm making
different ways,
these.
kind of like split side garments. But luckily I also get bored pretty fast or just distracted by new ideas. So
like
then I
sleeves.
tend to move on. And I'm fairly certain I'm just describing hyperfocus right now or something like that. Y'all, there's terminology for everything, and like if I'm not using that terminology, it
I sure wish that I could listen to copywritten stuff. There's a serial killer in Portland. There's a fucking siren.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge podcast. My name's Josh. Thanks for joining me today. We're talking about a brand new family, a very, very highly requested brand new family, the Llewellyn family. So many requests for this channel, and I'll tell you why I haven't covered it up to this point, but some other creators started calling her out for this. It's Pajamagate 2.0, apparently. Apparently there's some craziness going on in the pajama community, and it's nuts. So let's talk about it. So this is the Llewellyn family here, full of 6.3 million subscribers on YouTube, and people are like, why haven't you covered them? Why haven't you covered them? And I have had them on my radar. It's because every single effing video of theirs is just the kids. Like, there's not that I've seen anywhere where it's like a Q&A, how we met, and like there's no snark worthy of just the parents. And they do that on purpose, because the kids is what bring people to the channel. This is like one of the most exploitative channels I've ever seen, where the parents don't even pretend that you're coming for them. They know you're coming for the kids, and it's exactly what they do, because their most popular video has 3.2 million views, which was done about 3 years ago, which is trying to teach my husband to braid, right? They are obviously black dad, white mom, mixed kids, and that's like a big thing. A lot of people go for that type of content, and they're not like a YouTube channel. They're more of a TikTok shorts type of channel, which is the growing thing, and like long form content is still always going to be here like mine, but they do the short form content, right? They're just basically everything. It's the
Fucking
same
mosquito
shit over and over again,
stalking
but
me.
every single video is just of the kids. There's not even a Q&A in here, that unless I'm missing something that I haven't seen it yet. I've asked people to be like, hey, if you want me to cover Llewellyn family, let me know which videos you want me to disseminate, and snark on, I will. But if it's just kids, there's not much I can do. Really, there isn't, until today, which is a really good thing. So, and I'm sorry, but I don't know if it's midsummer allergies or something, but I'm getting punched right in the nutsack with allergies these days.
This guy
It sounds
is
like I have a cold,
totally
and I
one
don't.
of those
It's just
people.
allergies.
It's just like miserable, no fucking hobbies of their own, has a big mouth. This is like the king of the snarkers.
I think it's very clear that if he did
life. He definitely had help in doing so, if that is the case. But, you know, frankly, I don't think anyone really knows what happened. And I don't want to sit here and be a gatekeeper telling people he's dead, he's not dead. Most people accept he's dead, and so I tend to say that.
The circumstances around Jeffrey Epstein are still being debated and investigated. Did he self-delete? Was he killed? Or is he still alive? The mainstream narrative is that Epstein took care of himself. However, new leaked footage from his cell suggests otherwise. In an interview with Savvy Podcast, investigative journalist Whitney Webb gave her take on what she thinks happened with Epstein's circumstances. Webb suggests that she cannot officially rule out any of the options, but believes either way, Epstein was not alone. Let's listen to what Whitney has to say.
But I'm not gonna dismiss people who say he's still alive, because frankly, nobody knows, and there's been a lot of obfuscation about what went on the night that he was reportedly found dead and all of this. And so, you know, if people want to speculate that, and given, you know, things like the intelligence ties, his ties to powerful people, and things like that, you know, it's certainly possible. But, you know, more often than not, I mean, cases, prominent people like Jeffrey Epstein that threaten, you know, powerful interests with spilling the beans on things. They don't want the beans, you know, they don't want the beans to be public, basically. You know, they can get off in prison even if they're under constant watch. So a good example of this that was in a recent article I did is this Italian man named Michele Sindona. And Michele Sindona went to prison for the collapse of a couple of banks, but it was all tied to this massive scandal involving this free Masonic lodge in Italy that was called Propaganda Do, or P2, that was basically exposed to contain prominent business leaders, acolytes of Mussolini-style fascism in Italy, top politicians, and all sorts of very powerful figures, basically meeting in secret to try and undermine and subvert the government.
Under the weight of a most unusual scandal, the revelation that nearly 1,000 of Italy's elite, including 3 cabinet members, were allegedly members of an outlawed, super-secret, super-evil Masonic lodge called P2.
The mysterious thing called P2, also known as Propaganda Do, D-U-E, was described by Italian magistrates as a state within a state. In addition to the 3 cabinet ministers, its reach extended to 2 undersecretaries, 30 members of parliament, military officers, diplomats, magistrates, professors, and journalists. The problem was not that so many leading members of government belonged to a Masonic lodge, it was that they belonged secretly, and in Italy, secret societies are illegal. What deepened suspicion about the group was the fact that the Grand Master of the lodge was millionaire industrialist Licio Gelli. Mr. Gelli, currently a fugitive, has been implicated in a number of dubious activities, including the fake kidnapping of convicted financier Michael Sindona, who had attempted to avoid trial in New York by fleeing to Europe. It was this investigation which turned up the list of names that brought down the Italian government.
And they also had ties to CIA operations going on at the time, like Operation Gladio, and also had ties to organized crime, specifically the Sicilian Mafia, which Luciano, who I mentioned earlier, the associate of Lansky, was deported in the World War II era, or I think I can't remember the exact year, but around the time of the war, if not immediately after, to Italy, and got involved in that nexus as well. So Michele Sindona could have endangered a lot of powerful people, and he was under 24/7 police watch in this prison, and they were checking his food and all this stuff, and someone put cyanide in his coffee and he died in prison, despite having all of this, you know, security to try and keep him from being killed off. He was killed off. So, you know, we don't really know, again, what happened to Epstein, but, you know, generally in these types of cases, they do tend to get offed if they threaten to spill the beans, and it seemed like Epstein may have been willing to do that. But then again, it depends on how important of an asset he may have been, and I think that remains to be seen. So I'm happy to keep, you know, an open mind if new evidence is presented that supports that theory.
The evidence that Webb alludes to is starting to stack up higher and higher, as more information comes out that points to something very different. Not just that Epstein didn't himself, but that he may never have died at all. First, let's look at the supposed method of death. Epstein allegedly hanged himself with prison bed sheets. But those sheets are specifically designed not to hold weight. They're thin, tear-resistant fabric that simply isn't strong enough to support a full-grown man. Even stranger, the so-called noose that was shown in photographs wasn't cut at all, despite guards claiming they sliced Epstein down. The fabric was neatly hemmed, completely intact. It looks less like evidence of and more like a planted prop. Then there's the body itself. The photos released of Epstein's corpse don't line up. His facial structure, and especially his ear shape, don't match Epstein's well-documented features. Some researchers even point out the man on the gurney looks far more like Tony Rodham, Hillary Clinton's late brother, than Epstein himself. Combine that with the fact that the photos were taken by a mysterious photographer linked to intelligence circles, and the doubts only grow. And this wasn't the only staged photo op. Just 2 days after Epstein's death, Ghislaine Maxwell was suddenly spotted at an In-N-Out Burger in California, casually reading a book about CIA operatives. The image was passed off as a candid, but it clearly wasn't. There were 2 trays of food, 2 phones, 2 cups, and a mysterious ID lanyard, proof she wasn't alone. Even worse, when the photo metadata was analyzed, it was traced back to a media company tied to Rupert Murdoch, an old Epstein associate. In other words, it was staged for the press. But the most shocking piece of evidence isn't photographic, it's financial. Epstein had quietly set up an offshore account years earlier, which almost no one knew about. At the time of his supposed death, the account held about $700,000. But just days before his death, Epstein signed documents creating a new estate structure. And then, 5 months after his death, a transfer of $15.5 million was sent into that hidden account. Only one man had access. Only one man could have moved that money, Jeffrey Epstein himself. Within weeks, the entire sum was liquidated and vanished. And if that wasn't enough, there's video evidence suggesting Epstein may have resurfaced. Recent drone footage taken over Little St. James, the infamous private island, after his reported death, shows a man with Epstein's build and distinctive hair.
Come on,
riding
bro.
an ATV.
Go away.
The moment he notices the drone, he quickly hides his face and speeds into a garage, never to be seen again. When you add it all together, the flimsy bed sheets, the mismatched body photos, the staged Ghislaine sighting, the drone footage, and most importantly, the unexplained $15 million transfer, the case for Epstein still being alive is overwhelming.
But, you know, for reasons I just explained and past precedent about similar cases, I tend to think he died. And I don't think he did it the way the official narrative says, but I would say that he definitely had help if he did himself, you know, and that there's obviously, I think, something about his death they don't really want to come out. And I think, you know, it would be embarrassing too, in a sense, for the first, for the current administration, because of course it was the first Trump administration when all of this happened. So it was the William Barr-led Department of Justice that technically has responsibility for whatever happened to Epstein in prison.
Okay, so hear me out. Snailian. This week, I just want to have a chill, cozy crafting time. I want to have a play. I want to learn cosplay. I don't want to recreate an existing character though, which I do think might be the whole point of cosplay. Anyway, I've had the word snailian stuck in my head for a couple of days, so let's talk about the design. I really love the idea of having some bioluminescence in there, if I can. And yeah, just a horrifying snail thing with teeth and hopefully some drippy saliva and a shell on the back of the head. Sound good? I couldn't remember while filming where the inspo for this came from, but I found this while editing, and I'm pretty sure it started with this little snail guy here by Laura Benson. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna have a very loud cookie. I'll just edit out me chewing. Okay, no, this is still cookie in my mouth. Why do I press record while I'm eating? I recently saw a video on Instagram of a girl making this amazing 3-faced rabbit mask. The way that she did it was just like so eye-opening for me because I was like, oh, I can do that. Those are materials that I could get. It turns out the paper mache clay that she was using is actually really hard to get. I have ordered some because there was nowhere that I could buy it from. So that's hopefully arriving during the week. But I do have foam clay, as is my usual. Should I have grabbed that? Should I have grabbed the foam clay? So I will be using foam clay at least to begin with. And to start with, our base is just a paper mache mask. And this is huge, actually. Oh, wow. It's right inside my eyes. That's not a pleasant shape. It's really pushing up against my nose as well. It feels like a really different profile to my face. That's our starting shape. I'm a little concerned about that now. Now, of course I didn't turn my mic on, but basically I thought this basketball would be a good base for our snail shell if I could deflate it a little more, so that's what I'm struggling to do here. I thought for a moment that I could pull the air out of the ball, but then I realized that the bike pump would have a one-way valve, so this definitely wouldn't work. And I eventually figured out that I could deflate it just by leaving the needle bit in there and pushing down on it until I heard air escaping. We have forbidden custard. Oh yeah, we're doing paper mache for the shell base. I've got some toilet paper that I found in my car. It's been living there, I think, since I moved house last time. And then I also have just a bag of paper scraps. Neither of these are the ideal paper for paper mache, but it's what I've got, and I'm not going out to buy a newspaper just for this. So, let's get to it. I think most of us know what paper mache and me grimacing for some reason looks like, so let's speed this up. I am going to let that dry, and I want to make this slightly more comfortable. There's little eyebrow marks where my makeup has come off inside the mask. Oh no, this has started to dry out. Oh no. So hopefully that should be a little bit comfier now. I also trimmed down the nose because I wanted that to be the start of the mouth. This is kind of pointless because I end up building this area back up, but oh well. Also, if I sound weird, it's because it's 6 a.m. and I'm trying to be quiet so I'm not waking anyone up. I have in my head a vision of these like glowing green eyes. What I want to do is put these fairy lights inside the stalks, and I have these glass cabochons. And so I learnt this from Aussie crafter. She paints these amazingly realistic looking eyes. Sorry, that distracted me. It's nice. She paints these really amazingly realistic looking eyes by painting the backs of glass cabochons. And so I wanted to give that a go. Oh, I'm not liking how this is going. All of the brush strokes are visible. It's fine in daylight, but once the light is behind it. I spent the evening attempting to paint some practice eyes using just little dots of paint so there wouldn't be any brush strokes visible. It took the whole evening just to do 2 of them, so this is not ideal. Good morning. The paper mache basketball is not dry yet, so I put that in front of the heater to try to get that to speed up a little bit, but our test eyes have dried. These look alright in daylight, but to be honest, I didn't really love either result. They're also just okay with the fairy light behind them. But then I found this piece of frosted plastic from a Ziploc bag, and I found that really helped to diffuse the light, so there was more of that glowy look that I was going for. I tried making a gradient of greens to get darker towards the edges, and started with dotting on the center with the most neon color. And then I proceeded to completely ignore the technique that I'd used on the practice eyes and just did something totally different, because of course I did. I used brush strokes instead of dots to build up the color. Why? But at least I made them radiate out from the center more like a real eye. This of course ignores what we know about brush strokes being visible once there is a light behind them. While I waited for the eyes to dry, I added another layer of paper to the shell base. It was a bit thin, so I used paper towel this time. Next, I glued the eyes on the frosted plastic. I'm really happy with how they look here. I feel like for light up eyes, I just should have used a totally different technique. It's finally time today to start building up the shape of this one. I'm very excited. I really want that shell shape to dry so that I can actually like connect these, but I do think to begin with, it's probably going to be easier if I can work flat with this one. So let's make some silicone blobs to see if we can possibly make some glowy bits for the bottom danglies, and then let's get to building this one up with foam clay. I changed my mind on the silicone. It turns out that it releases acid while it's curing, which sounds really scary, and I forgot to buy a caulking gun. So we're going to put this back on the shelf of chemicals that I'm too scared to use. I went with Old Faithful hot glue, and it worked surprisingly well. Ooh, that's a good point. It sits like quite a way away from my forehead, and so like if it sits flat there, it's going to push the chin out, which is just kind of generally creepy. I don't think that's like necessarily bad, it's just upsetting. I feel like I should have gotten a better fitting mask, but we'll live. All right, now don't confuse. This is the water for dipping to smooth out the foam clay. This is water for drinking. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I found 3mm armature wire because I wanted something that was malleable but would hold its shape, and I think I have found it. I nearly drank it. I nearly picked this up to drink it. What's funny is you can see me look at the reference image and then proceed to place the eyes in totally different spots while nodding to myself, good job, yes, that's correct. So I got some of the fundamental placements here wrong because I clearly have trouble seeing. Also, now that I think about it, I may have put Parks and Rec on and stopped looking at the reference. She kind of looks like Cynthia from Rugrats. I just realized that I should have attached the lights before I wrapped the foil around these because the foil could have helped cover up the lights that I don't want visible. All right, I'm back. I finished my sandwich. It was a roast beef salad sandwich, in case you were wondering. Had some mustard on it. It's very nice. So I bought the 3-meter string of lights. They also came in 5 meters, but I was like, I don't want all this additional lights that I'll just have to cover up. So after all that worrying, I don't have enough lights to do the dangly ones at the bottom of the face. I tried covering up more of the lights. It didn't really work. You'll see later. And then I got to hot gluing the eyes on, and finally we're able to start forming the mask with the foam clay. I have no idea what I'm doing. I started with getting some shaping around the eyes, and I really wanted to build up a sort of sinewy and bumpy skin texture. However, Alf had other plans for me. Hello. Does he need cuddles? Yeah. Okay. So I just sat and cuddled Alf for about 15 minutes. All right, now we're back to crafting. You get about 30 minutes of work time with foam clay before it starts to dry out, so we have to add the texture as we go. I picked up a tiny ballpoint stylus for this from a nail art kit, and you have to press a little bit further than you think for foam clay because it sort of puffs as it dries. And I'll also seal it with a Flex Bond or a Mod Podge before painting, so you can lose a bit of detail that way too. Sometimes smoothing the joints with foam clay can be a little tricky, so you just dip your finger in a bit of water to help smooth them, or you can make an alien with sinewy skin, and then you don't have to smooth the joints, right? Pretty clever, although I still did smooth all of the joints. I wasn't sure why, but I wasn't feeling super awesome about the stalks. Maybe they should have been straighter. So I tried to balance them out with the face danglies. I don't have a better word for them. And I added an extra set. I also wanted the face to be a bit pointier to match my design, so I tried to shape the sides of the mask a bit too. So, remember how I was like, I've got my reference image, I'm good to go? I got the layout of everything just completely not how I drew it. So here's where we're at the moment. Sorry, the battery pack is just this annoying thing that's going to follow it around now. This area is supposed to be a lot more squished. And these, I've done them higher than you would do, like, horns. They're like, why? The stalks are kind of meant to be where your eyes would be. Like, they should really be coming out like where these eyes are. So I'm a little disappointed with myself, but it's way too late now to fix it, so we're just gonna press on. Yeah, so let's try and salvage this. I tried to bring the base of the stalk down a bit with the clay in a fairly fruitless attempt to make their position a bit more natural. See, I think this is why I'm safer not doing cosplay, because no one's going to be able to look at this and know that I got the positioning wrong, because it's not like this is a recognizable IP. Also, it's pretty fun to come up with your own cryptid. I like to think that this Snailian doesn't know that they look so different to humans, so she doesn't fit in, but she doesn't realize why. Speaking of Snailian, do you know what else starts with S and ends with N? Subscribe! So don't forget to subscribe and like in this video. Thanks, it really helps the channel. Good morning. So last night, this is where we got to. It's not as much progress as I would have liked, but also I kind of had to stop at some weird points. I had run out of hot glue, so I couldn't attach the eyeballs up here. And then I also had run out of lights, so I couldn't put the lights on here and then foam clay around it. So I went out this morning and got more lights and more hot glue. So we're ready to just dive on in and hopefully get the base covered in foam clay today. I'm thinking that with this, the paint job's probably going to do a lot of heavy lifting, which is also concerning because it's not exactly my strongest skill set, but then again, none of this is. I like this little bit here where it's starting to that's starting to feel maybe like the front of a snail face. The lips, I don't know what you'd call it. Look, it's going to be something. I feel like all the danglies are helping. I taped the lights on in much the same fashion as before, so let's skip that. And here's how the lights look. There are a lot of them. Earlier, I painted some of our glue globs green, so next was attaching those with, you guessed it, more hot glue. I'm getting more comfortable using it, so that's a nice character development. I also went really off book here, and seeing as I had so many lights for the bottom half, I thought, why not add some different colored glowy dots to give it more of a bioluminescence vibe? I regret this. I absolutely love how the green ones look, and I think that all of the additional ones that I put in there kind of just take away from the green. But let me know when you see the reveal if you think it looks better with or without the extra lights, and whether I should have just, found a better way to cover them up. I tried using electrical tape, and that did not work, so we've still got in the ends some glowy bits coming through the skin. So if you have an idea of how I should cover up these lights better, or if there are better lights that I could use to do this sort of thing, please let me know, because I'm still not in my element doing this.
Are you trying to tell me something? something.
Good morning. Let's get looking. Let's see where we're up to. So here is where our mask is at after
Suki, are you
I think
hungry?
it's 2 or so days
Are you
of
hungry?
attaching all of the foam clay. I'm really enjoying all of the texture that I've been able to put on like these stalk bits. Obviously, I've got to go back through and fill in all of the texture around the face. I also really like these little like eye danglies. So today I'm going to finish up doing these two. We're going to add in some more texture, and then we're going to need to get started on the mouth. Let's talk about the mouth. So I think that I've decided that my plan for the mouth is, first of all, I'm going to use the black foam clay for the mouth so that I don't have to paint it. Right? For the teeth, I am going to use polymer clay. I think I want to make fairly thin, pointy teeth.
I guess I'm
gonna
gonna go.
make up a bunch of them, and then while we're doing the mouth, we can just shove them up into there. Oh, there was one other thing. Oh, I'm going to sneeze.
That didn't have an almond in it.
Do I have to sneeze again? What is happening? All right,
It's false advertising.
I have to sneeze again. I swear I'm not sick. I think it was just really sunny that day. Okay, so quick little update. So generally, I like to change my mannequin to be the most recent thing that I've made, and I've had it as the fish for a while because I couldn't figure out how to hang up the knit outfit, but I did. I figured out how to put up the mask, and I was gonna just not mention it. I was just gonna leave it as like a little Easter egg of like, you might notice that it's changed in the background, but I think it might be the most upsetting
I
thing
love
I've
you.
ever
Thanks
done.
for hanging out with me. Hope you have a great day.
Look
I'll see you
at
tomorrow.